ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If I said, hey, your life depends on you successfully running a marathon in a year.
Oh, I can do it. Yeah, in a year. If my life depended on it, yeah.
6 months.
Yes.
3 months?
I mean, most people run it, a few hours? I think I could do it in 6 months.
Great point, Beards. Great point.
Can I go home?
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Monday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into. Eclectic show today. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some basketball. We'll talk some Major League Baseball throughout the show. We'll talk with Matt Verderam coming up an hour from now. He is from Sports Illustrated. We will get his thoughts on the schedule. Schedule release, everybody. Did you hear about that? Schedule was released on Thursday.
You want to go through it again?
I actually do.
You want to release it again? Maybe we go, who would you like to see the Chiefs play in week 1?
Boy, I don't know. You know what a sneaky matchup I'd like to see? The Lions.
Ooh, interesting. No way the NFL does that.
I'd like to see the Lions.
As long as Miami's at Arrowhead, nothing else matters to me.
They're going to put a sexy. Yeah, I mean, we know that Bears are probably definitely the team that's going to be in Germany.
Definitely the least interesting matchup at home.
Makes the most sense because if they were a home team, they'd be like a 10-point favorite or something like that. So you'd be perfectly fine giving up that game. 913-912-4810. Matt Verderam an hour from now. We'll talk with Craig Brown, Into the Fountains. IntoTheFountains.substack.com. Get his thoughts on the Rawls, who unfortunately swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. And, you're going up against a guy who is a, Cy Young caliber pitcher on Friday night. And you're throwing out Johnny Holstaff. You're throwing out, here's an opener. Here's a guy on the mound who is sort of replaceable on so many different fronts because it's early May and the organization doesn't have somebody ready to go to fill in on a Friday night, whether that be in AAA or on the big league club. So you go with Johnny Holstaff against one of the best in baseball. And you know what? They made him work. They threw a lot of pitches. They didn't win the game. Then they did not win the game on Saturday. They didn't win the game on Sunday. Kristen Yelich was just trying to steal second. They gave him home. It's like, I'm going to steal second. Oh, no, you're not. I bet. Let's see how good of a shape you're in. Let's see if you are fit. Can you get up and run to third? Oh, you did. Slide. Can you get up and run home? Oh, you did. All right. Next time, though. Next time, I don't believe you're going to be able to do that. It was a rough weekend, and now the Royals get ready for 3 in San Diego against the Padres, who are surprisingly below 500. So while the Royals are 6-4 against teams that are below 500, the Padres do count as a team now that they will be playing that is below 500. In fact, the next 20 games for the Royals, are against teams that are currently below 500. Next 20 games, 3 against the Padres, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Tigers, 3 against the Nationals, 2 against St. Louis, 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the Marlins. Now, right now, the Marlins are only 1 game under 500. Oddly enough, have the best record of all those teams. But it is still, when we break it down, teams above and below 500, that very arbitrary but, general cutoff of are you at or above or below. They have struggled mightily against teams that are above 500. They have played pretty representative baseball against teams that are bad. They've been beating the bad teams. So they are better than the bad teams, but not nearly as good as the good teams. It's probably not. It's probably somewhere in the middle, like we always say, right? They're not as bad as they are against the teams above 500, and they're probably not as good as being 6-4. And you know what? They may be 6-7 after these next 3 games against the Padres. So we'll see.
This will end up being a real good glass half full, glass half empty test. Because if you're going, hey, these teams below 500, this is going to be a good stretch for the Royals. Or you go, these teams are below 500? Can we get the White Sox again? Can we just stay in the division?
You do. You get them for 3 after the Padres. But the White Sox also have a $200 million payroll. So, they are a game or two away from just turning it on and being like being Major League. All of a sudden, they just start playing baseball, except for the fact that the A's are kind of like the real Major League. The owner wants to move. They have a bunch of bad players out there. They're hoping people don't show up to the ballpark. The A's are the actual Major League movie. 913-912-4810. Mick Schaefer joins us at 1 o'clock. We will play a little Learn Funniest Best. What happened over the weekend? It's presented by Pyramid Roofing. That comes up. That's how the show lines up. 913-912-4810. It is The Zone, presented by Google Fiber. Award-winning internet without data caps, annual contracts, or hidden fees. Now available up to 5 gigs with the 1 gig internet, still the exact same price that it was in 2012. So thank you to Google Fiber. And you know what? On Friday night with the Royals, you probably needed Google Fiber with the game on Apple TV Plus game. And I kind of enjoyed it. I will say catching up on DVR was, or catching up when you joined late was a little bit easier than just DVR because, you had the little press the 10-second skip. You don't really have that on the controller. You can't really fast forward 10 seconds because then you're fast forwarding and then you press play and then it jumps back 3 or 4 seconds. So it's like, did I really gain like 5 seconds? What's the point? Well, I can just skip ahead 10 seconds on a foul ball, boom, ready to go for the next pitch. That worked out. That was perfectly fine. The beef I would have is, and I get the preview that's there that they, when they show all the games and stuff like that. When I went there to go and click on the live baseball on Friday night because I didn't want to know the score, I hadn't seen it. Little man had a baseball game on Friday night. We went home. Bath, bedtime, everything. So let me go ahead and press play, but I want to start it from the beginning because I know I've got that option with Apple TV. I can do that with soccer matches and all of the other stuff. So I get ready to click start from the beginning, and it says 3-1 Brewers, bottom of the whatever. I'm like, well, I mean,
spoiler alert would be nice.
I'm still going to start it from the beginning, but, and I get it. They're previewing. It's like if it was like, 7-7 in the bottom of the ninth for a game. It's like, let me click on that. Let me click on that and see what that game's about. But it's like, no, I want to start from the beginning. You want to start from the beginning? It's 3-1 in the third. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. No, I still want to start from the beginning. Thank you.
Would you like episode 1 of Ted Lasso, or would you like to start with the episode where Ted Lasso dies? What?
With episode 5, he dies. Would you like to start from episode 1 or episode 5? Which would you like?
Well, I was planning on starting from the beginning, but now I feel like I've had my legs cut out a little bit.
I guess. I guess let's see the build-up.
Let's start from the beginning.
Let's see how he got to episode 5 of dying.
Episode 3, Ted gets a lightsaber. What is going on here?
This is weird. This is not what I thought it was. Ted Lasso. It's actually a lightsaber that is like a rope or something.
Is that a thing, Drake?
Lasso.
Does that exist in some cinematic universe, a lightsaber lasso?
Yeah.
He's not excited about that.
I'm excited about it. That's okay. I'm excited that this exists.
It exists.
Is that basically the Wonder Woman lasso? Is that the lasso of truth or whatever? What's it called?
I'm not real sure.
Okay, I think you are. I think you're.
Sense. Yeah, no.
I don't mean. I'm not trying to do a nerd check.
I was trying to picture it, but that's exactly right. It's the Wonder Woman.
What's it actually
lasso.
called? Lasso of truth.
There you go. Very good.
Glowing.
We'll
Perfect.
spit some truth with Craig Brown coming up at noon from Into the Fountains. I also did a deeper dive on the Royals lineup because I'm a dork to what's been going on since the beginning of May. So we may do that as well. All right, let's get into the show. NBA conference finals are set. They are ready to go. Conference finals set. The Boston Celtics running away from the 76ers, finding a way to win in Game 6 on the road, which was really the best chance that Philadelphia had. We had talked about it on Friday. I'm like, yeah, Boston's winning Game 7 at home. It's just a matter of what does it look like to get there. Philadelphia had their chance. They're not going to go to Boston and win that game. And I didn't even know Jason Tatum was going to break the scoring record in Game 7. Steph Curry's record lasted about 5 minutes. I mean, it's been so long since that record was held. Steph Curry takes it with 50 points. And 10 minutes later, Jason Tatum drops 51 to now have the record of most points scored in a Game 7. And Embiid and Harden combined for less than half of Tatum. They combined for 24 points.
Unreal.
He had 51. They combined 8 of 29 from the field in that game. I don't know, all-time choke job or just water finding its level? Because when you've got a player like Jason Tatum that has the ability to go off and score like that, yeah, you never know when somebody's going to be able to do that. Steph Curry still has that ability. Klay Thompson has the ability to drop 8 or 9 threes in a game. We saw that in a game or two against the Lakers. They're also getting up there in age, and you have a game to where those guys go 4 of 21 from behind the arc. And they keep firing up because those guys are Splash Brothers, and they're going to start falling eventually. So you know that from time to time, a player like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown can just go off and win you a game. But the MVP is also supposed to do that. He's also supposed to have a moment like that to where it is the reigning MVP in Game 7 for a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And the long build-up of, you know, the process and Ben Simmons, wherever he is at now, I'm not even sure where he's playing. You got James Harden in there, so those two guys. You got Tobias Harris. You got Tyrese Maxey. You've got some players that you're sort of building around, but it is the MVP and Joel Embiid, and just did not bring it. I mean, he got blocked twice by Horford, which is probably a retirable offense.
Yeah.
Not a fireable offense,
No.
but a retirable offense.
That's right.
Do you retire? The first block, it's like, okay, that's kind of lucky. Second block, like, oh, wow, you got blocked twice. You have to retire on the spot. You actually have to go out to midcourt and hold a microphone and wave to the crowd.
Yeah.
They're going to give you a big framed jersey
You
of
get the
yours.
jersey and everything.
That's right.
You have to retire on the spot.
The roll down of your jersey in the rafters, you know, happens there. It's on the spot with the second block.
Al Horford's 36 years old.
Is that all?
That's all.
He plays like he's 42.
He really does.
Plays like a 42-year-old.
There's some hard living in those 36-year-old legs.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it was disappointing. It was disappointing from an entertainment standpoint. Jason Tatum's second quarter just starts taking over, but the third quarter is really when the game was won.
33-10 that third quarter, if you were watching.
Was that it?
33-10.
Yeah, it was a 2-point game at half. You're like, okay, we got ourselves a couple of we got 24 points coming down to the stretch in a Game 7 to make the Eastern Conference Finals. And 5 minutes later, the game was essentially over. Then at that point, it was just, does Tatum get to 50?
Yeah.
Does Jason Tatum get to 50? So it's a disappointing result, and it's disappointing for Joel Embiid. Because people were questioning whether he was the MVP of the regular season or was that the Joker for the third straight year. I mean, there's a reason there's a regular season MVP, and then there's an NBA Finals MVP, and Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals MVPs, because those are for the postseason. I had no problem with Embiid getting the MVP. It's fine. I know Joker had one of his, if not his best statistical seasons, even though he won MVP a couple of times. It's fine. We can get into the big debate about that. But it's a stain on his resume for this series and in Game 7 when he played like that. Superstars, their reputation is earned not by regular season MVPs, but by what they do in the playoffs at the biggest moments. Tatum doesn't win MVP, but Tatum's 51 will be more remembered this season than Embiid's MVP regular season.
Unless they lose in 6, and then if he has as a Devin Booker stan, if Game 6 is not fulfilling to NBA Twitter, what he does the 5 games previously can be washed away shockingly quickly. But your point on Jokic and Embiid, I think, is a fascinating one, because that was part of the rub on Jokic this year. We have MVP fatigue. That happens. It's going to happen to Mahomes. It's just a thing that happens on voted awards.
Not around here.
We won't get tired of Mahomes, but the NFL will. The voting public will.
Right.
That's just the stuff that happens when you see greatness repeated. It happened to LeBron, et cetera, et cetera. But part of the reason that Jokic ended up being such a quote-unquote boring pick for a 3P MVP, which would have been totally fair, totally reasonable, totally deserved. But part of the reason there was, all right, yeah, we're making him the regular season MVP. But what has he done in the playoffs? What's the furthest he's made it? What have we seen him in a finals? Because I can't remember seeing him in a finals. And now everything, of course, lines up excellently for the Nuggets, who are finally relatively healthy, which is the real issue of the past. It wasn't Jokic's fault. God, I hope Rudy Salazar can't hear this segment. Rudy and Beards, by the way, if we get a Nuggets-Celtics final, I'm going to leave the country.
And Shane.
I'm leaving the country either way.
You got Rudy, you got Beards, you got Shane.
I dealt with Shane through Suns Nuggets. I don't know that I can do the Celtics Nuggets final. We'll see. I'm going to need LeBron do something.
Welcome.
Or Jimmy Butler.
Welcome.
Leave the country for a couple of weeks and just get away from everything.
Yeah,
This
you
is
know
what
what?
I'm thinking I'm going to do.
Just go to Europe. If that happens,
think-
even if they've only played a couple of games in the series,
Yeah, if it's looking that way,
just go.
I think I just got to go. I can't
For like
risk
2 weeks.
I can't risk being here.
Now, when you return in 2 weeks, it'll still be in the middle of the series.
Yeah, which is, I'll have to figure out if I can, I don't know, maybe find some extra days off in the couch cushions.
In
just
fact,
to
when you
avoid that.
when you return in 2 weeks, the series won't even have started.
It will
yet.
be in the midst of these
It'll be-
horrid
It'll
finals.
still be in the conference finals when you return in 2 weeks.
It'll be game 3 of each series, I think, 2 weeks from now.
But I'm looking forward to game 2 of the NBA Finals on Thursday night when the Chiefs take on the Lions.
It really does help bridge that gap, though. It gives us
Yes,
plenty to
you're
talk
right.
about. But it's so many elements of how the Sixers have gotten built and gotten to this point and all of the dings that come with it. It is a truly fascinating pair of conference finals matchups. It's a truly fascinating group of these teams who have fallen short, what it says about the team building and the process, both capital T, capital P, the process, and lowercase t and p, the process, like with the Suns falling short again. It really is like shaping up to be a terribly narrative-packed NBA playoff run, which is, good for talking about.
Can we hear Joel Embiid after the game? Obviously, there was a lot of reckoning that happened at the post-game press conference. James Harden at the post-game press conference. Doc Rivers and his postseason record and Game 7 records, which was talked about, and that stat threw out there that he's now lost double-digit Game 7s. He's lost a number of series in which he's led 3-2, 3 games to 2, including this one. But here's Joel Embiid on what it takes to win with this group.
It's going to take, more than us. We all got to look at ourselves. I got to be better, and I will be better. That's what I'm focused on. All of us, we got to, come back and find ways to just keep improving and, help the team. You can't win alone. I can't win alone. I can't. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
It's interesting with the reaction and the commentary to that particular quote from Joel Embiid, because the second part of it, you can hear that and go, wow, I mean, you're the MVP and you're talking about everyone else. When he says, me and James, we can't win alone. Basketball is played 5-on-5. We need everybody to find ways to be better, which is a great quote to take out and just use that without hearing the beginning when he says, I've got to get better. I've got to do these things. I got to focus on myself. I got to be better. I will be better. But it takes all of us, which is true. It absolutely takes all of them. And this is one of those quotes to where if somebody wants to view it and just simply put it out there and say, well, here you go, here's a selfish Joel Embiid and caring about the other guys and not taking responsibility, when he started with responsibility. And it was, how do you win? Well, it's all my fault. It's all on me. The only way we win is for me getting better. It's me, and if other people can be great, but it has to be me. Is that the only way to answer that question where people would be satisfied other than it's on me? I got to get better. I will be better. But it does take all of us, because people are talking about you and James Harden. Well, it's not just me and James. So when you hear it's not just me and James, then it's, well, now he's only saying those two guys. Well, no, but when he's asked about it, when it's brought up that, hey, you and James Harden and, these guys, how do you guys win? Well, it's not just me and James. Oh, wow, he said it's not just him and James. Everybody's got to get better. It's one of those to where you're hearing it versus reading it and then cutting off the clip, because that quote has been out there since last night and all throughout the day of Joel Embiid, quote, me and James can't win alone. Boy, that's an awful quote. Yeah, because people cut off the beginning on purpose.
Yes, the implication there is me and James can't win alone, which is what we have been trying to do this whole bleeping time.
Exactly.
Which is very much not the energy of what he was saying there. It would be like taking that Giannis quote and being like, failure doesn't exist, says Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, he had more logic around all of that, and that, is it's still a different conversation. And
Yeah.
and this is sort of the dirty little secret of a post-game press conference where you lose. It's not quite a lose-lose situation, but it's really darn close to it. On another example, and not my favorite exit either, Devin Booker did not talk after the Game 6 loss. He didn't talk at exit interview day with just the local media after the fact. That one even bothers me a little bit more. That's a pretty soft way to exit. And the coach gets fired a couple days later. I don't know if he knew that was happening and didn't want to have to speak on it, whatever. I don't know. But you can't just step away. You can't say failure doesn't exist. This isn't a failure. We're all learning from this. You can't say I got to be better. The whole team has to be better. Pretty much the only thing that we consistently let stars get away with in the post-game press conference is to say, it's got to be me. I got to do better. But when Andy Reid does that, I sit in this chair here and say, I don't want to hear this from Andy Reid anymore because that doesn't mean anything. Andy Reid is doing the best he can. It's just platitudes. So it is very, very difficult to have a satisfying post-game press conference after a series loss. And it's even worse when you have people hunting for the most sort of aggregatable quote, which is, me and James can't do it alone. That's not really what he meant. And whoever cut that quote probably knew it.
Basketball's 5-on-5. It's not just me and James Harden. Yeah. And if you do the entire question and answer about, you and what has to happen for, you and James to take this team and win. Well, it's not just me and James. Whoa! He's saying it's that's ridiculous. And you can read into a lot of things. I didn't cut the clip with James Harden in his press conference at the end when, he was asked about his relationship with Doc Rivers earlier in the press conference, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's a good relationship." It was the end of the press conference because he had talked about he and Doc's relationship earlier in the season and in the postseason. And the last thing that was asked of James Harden was, do you want to see Doc return? How's your relationship with Doc Rivers? And he paused. It was like a 4-second pause, and he goes, "We're fine." I'm like, oh, well, that's as illuminating as anything else. That's more illuminating than this cut out of context quote from Joel Embiid. That tells me that if Harden's returning, Doc Rivers is not. Yeah. Like if you're talking about going forward, and who knows what they're going to do going forward with the process. Is it over? Is it done? I mean, there's talk about the Warriors. Are the Warriors now done? What's Draymond Green do? Does he opt out? Does he return to Golden State? Does he go somewhere else? I know there are some really mad Golden State Warriors fans because of how happy Draymond Green was and hugging LeBron and laughing and smiling where Steph Curry didn't have a smile on his face and he was pissed and he was down and he was sitting on the bench just staring at the ground, and Draymond was laughing like they were at a comedy club together, he and LeBron. And he and LeBron are close. They've become really good friends over the years since they hated each other, which is one of those weird things. It's like Stephanie and Gia in Full House. Eventually, they became great friends.
Draymond is funny, man. His whole reputation is that I'm going to be the hardest, most physical, not afraid to talk bleep, not afraid to say things about Sabonis that people don't want to hear. And then you see it. I mean, you just everyone sees it, right? Apparently not everyone sees it. I digress.
We'll take a time out. We'll come back. Ja Morant. Seems like everybody has seen that.
Yeah.
With another gun video surfacing with Ja. We'll take a time out. We'll discuss that a little bit as to one of the budding superstars in the NBA that has self-inflicted wounds in his reputation and his marketability with Nike and Gatorade. And maybe it's Powerade. I'm not really sure. I think it's Powerade. Yeah, right when I say Gatorade, I think it's Powerade. And those commercials that are there and what happens moving forward. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll hear from Bobby Marks, who's a front office insider for ESPN, NBA front office insider. Myron Metcalf weighed in on it, and Stephen A. Smith weighed in on it as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about one of the most fun players to watch play that just has this smoke around him that is, it's unnecessary and self-inflicted. And this one is more of all right, you got to lose your friends, man. We'll talk about that next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm really excited to every time get to tell you about my friends at Greenlight Dispensary because I think this could be a really good experience for a whole lot of people who have maybe been curious about the marijuana side of things, maybe as it was medically legalized in Missouri, now recreationally available. But do you know where to actually start that process? Well, good news. Now you do. Start with Greenlight Dispensary. They got four Kansas City area locations. They got the one on 135th and State Line, Bannister, Independence, and Harrisonville. They've been voted Missouri's best dispensary numerous times by the people of Missouri, and it's obvious to see why. They've got great inventory, a huge variety, and especially at the beginning, the most important part, they have the knowledge and the care from their bud tenders at Greenlight that will make that an easy process for you. No matter what questions you come into the building with, they're going to be able to lead you in the right direction and help you find your solutions for yourself. You can order online for pickup via the drive-thru once you know what you want, or you can hit the grab-and-go window, which is super easy and super convenient. I love the drive-thru option at Greenlight Dispensary. But again, if you want to go inside and browse in person, ask the bud tenders what's right for you, you can do all of that at Greenlight Dispensary. Visit them online at greenlightdispensary.com.
The wait is over.
Verderame, Sports Illustrated, coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll talk with Craig Brown, Into the Fountains, intothefountains.substack.com. And then Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41, will join us in the 1 o'clock hour with some Learned Funniest Best presented by Pyramid Roofing, 913-912-4810. Before we get into Ja Morant, do you know the significance of the 4 teams remaining in the conference finals?
All 4 of them give me heartburn.
That is one.
Okay.
That was the number one thing that I wanted to see if you knew.
3 out of 4 give me heartburn. I don't mind the Heat.
And the Heat typically would be something that would give you heartburn.
Strangely
in your
enough,
food.
yeah.
Do you know the significance of these 4? And I only realized it because I saw it. I saw it this morning. I didn't think about it at the time.
Everything I keep thinking might be an okay answer ends up getting derailed by the Nuggets.
It is the exact same 4 from the bubble. Remember, the bubble was fake.
Holy cow.
The bubble isn't this isn't real playoffs. The bubble.
Yeah, you're right.
This doesn't count as the playoffs. It's the bubble. Lakers, Nuggets, Heat, Celtics from the bubble. And I didn't realize it until this morning when I was, reading different things, and I'm like, holy bleep, that's right.
I had no idea.
Because the Lakers-Nuggets series was over pretty quickly.
Yes.
In 5, so you don't really – and I think it's going to be over quickly this year too. I just think it's going to be like 4-1 or 4-2 in favor of the Nuggets. But Miami and Boston could be a burner. That one was over in 6. So that I think that's going to be a more entertaining series than a 2-time MVP and should be 3-time MVP versus the GOAT and a guy like Anthony Davis for the Lakers. GOAT and Anthony Davis.
Thinking about it from just the championship perspective, obviously it's your 1 and 2 tied all-time NBA history, Lakers, Celtics, and then the Heat have 3. I was trying to pencil in if there was a 4th in there, so that drops them down a bit, and then obviously you have the Nuggets.
The Nuggets, that have what, 5?
I think they actually have 18.
18 championships. People don't realize that. People do not realize the Nuggets have 18 titles. Ja wasn't worried about the Western Conference. Anybody in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And there's reasons he wasn't worried about them. He was packing. I'm not worried about them. I got something. You know what? I'm a hell of a shooter. Okay, on and off the court. So we know about the first suspension and the brandishing a weapon that was on his own IG Live when he was at a gentleman's club. Colorado did the investigation, did not bring charges, saying essentially nobody was threatened. There wasn't any harm to anybody. Couldn't prove that he was actually consuming alcoholic beverages. There was no sign posted that firearms were not allowed. Colorado is an open carry state. So all of these different reasons why Ja Morant was not legally charged with having the weapon, but NBA rules being, possession of a weapon with league or team events or travel. So then technically that wasn't team travel, but he was on the road, all of that stuff. It was a first offense, and it was a pretty good penalty, pretty good suspension for Ja Morant. Then this happens over the weekend. And he spent all of the interviews after the suspension about making better decisions, being smarter, thinking about the overall view of me and kids looking up to me and presenting a picture of what an NBA player should be to fans and children and role models. He talked about and said all the right things. Then this happens over the weekend. If you didn't see it, he's in a car with one of his buddies on IG Live, and there's a very brief, if you didn't know what happened, you probably would miss it, but it was paused, screenshot, and he flashes a gun while they're in the car, very excitedly singing. Couple things here, and we'll hear some takes. It's not smart. No reason to do that. I wonder, did he know he was on IG Live, or did he think his friend was just recording them having fun? Because that was his friend's IG Live that went on, not his own. His own, that was dumb. That was self-inflicted with, hey, I'm on IG Live and I'm doing this stuff here. No reason to do that. No reason whatsoever. Paul Pierce got fired from ESPN for, going on IG Live when he had some stuff going on behind him in the background.
That's right.
All right. And,
Behind, for sure.
ESPN turns out a Disney company.
Yeah.
So not exactly the image they're wanting to portray. So that wasn't smart. This is his friend's IG Live. So did he know that his friend was on Instagram and was videoing live at that time? Did he think they were just videoing themselves, that, hey, this is kind of fun, we're feeling good? Because if he didn't know that was on IG Live, you got to drop that friend, because that's a dumb friend. Also, it's a dumb friend anyway, because you're probably aware he's got a weapon on him.
Sure.
Unless you're just shocked, like, whoa, where'd you get that from? Because he's just holding it in his hand. And you're going on IG, you know what he got suspended for. John knows why he got suspended, and yet you still do it. Like, it just is dumb and immature, and it is childlike behavior. Whether we talk about Second Amendment and rights and all of that stuff and legal ownership and permits and everything, it's just dumb, and you know the rules with the NBA. And now you're back in the same position you were before, and all of the PR tour of I'm going to be better, I understand the error of my ways, is just simply gone.
Hollow.
And I don't know if he knew it was on IG Live. You got to be smarter anyway. But, man, that's a friend you might need to drop in, because that guy does not care about you. He's not thinking about you and your reputation and your career, which you also weren't thinking of either.
I'm going to defend this friend to a decimal point. But when he saw the gun on the phone screen behind
That's
him.
a good point. That's a good point.
That phone was in his shirt pocket.
You're right. That is a good point.
And at the very least,
you know what? You're right.
He
noticed
that.
I forgot about that part. That as soon as that was in the background, it was just his chest and his shirt.
Yep. And then the video, and then it was jaw out of frame in stream.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think you also make a good point to say, hey man, you know Jaw's got a gun probably, right? Like you guys are still hanging in the car together. General rule of thumb, I like to know when the people around me have guns. I just want to know where they are. Just kind of, good thing to do.
Before my wife and I get in the car, I'm like, honey, are you strapped? Okay, you carrying? Great. Let's go.
Every time I get in the car, I'm like, honey, you see these two things on the steering wheel? Oh yeah, I am strapped up. That's a gun show, baby. But even with that is
You're just, by the way, you were showing your arms.
Yeah. Sorry, I got my hands are on the steering wheel. Was the video? Sometimes video helps, sometimes video hurts. Depends on.
Got that tank top on, honey.
Depends on what kind of guns you got.
Sun's out, arms out. That's what they say.
Kind of guns you can flex and not hurt anybody, other than myself, because I'm getting old. I get back spasms. But it's all dumb. All like the sort of veneer of stupidness over all of this is really hard to argue. But there was one thing that Bomani Jones said talking about the first suspension that comes back around now that is really interesting to me, is that almost always we will do the thing where you see someone with money and power and influence and they're in a situation, and I think this is also, I'm now thinking about things my parents told me growing up. You look at the star in the middle of the group, and you see the group going in a bad direction. You say, man, that guy's got to get rid of his friends. He's got to get new friends. He's got to clear out these bad influences around him. That was the phrase for me as a kid. You got to watch your influences. And the question that Bomani asked is, how do we know that Jaw's not the bad influence?
Yeah, you're right.
Because if you are the guy who has gotten in trouble for just appearing irresponsible with your firearm, right? Like you can try to sand off the edge as much as you want.
Even if you've got a permit and your license, you probably shouldn't be waving it around in a car.
Waving it around in the car,
it's probably not safe.
Feels really unnecessary.
I hope the safety was on.
I do too. And the sort of the double-sided deal with that from what Bomani has talked about again the first time through, he tweeted about it again a couple times, saying it's not really about the principle, it's about how he's moving. It's about what we are seeing and what you're afraid of. And the other, I'm just going to read this tweet from Bomani being, to me with Ja, the question isn't whether he's doing anything wrong. It's what the bleep is wrong with him. Yeah. It's all so self-destructive and worrisome that I wouldn't be worried about anyone else's hypocrisy or anything like that, at least not right now. Yeah. And that's where I end up and look, is it terribly, terribly uncommon behavior? Is he the only dude around that age with a gun in America driving around flashing it when he probably shouldn't be? No. But when you have not just the money and power and influence, but also the target that comes with that, with your own behavior being endangering to you and the people around you, it is just a wholly concerning, frustrating scenario because the quote unquote fix seems so easy. Hey man, just leave the gun at home. Like just leave it in your safe,
or if you feel like you need it, maybe don't video it.
And you know, Frank Clark got in trouble for guns in his car.
Yeah.
That if that would have all been on video, the suspension probably would have been worse.
Yeah.
And if that is a legitimate safety concern, you are a superstar player. Getting some help where someone who you know can handle their weapon and can be helpful to you in that moment, if that's where that's coming from, you have a lot of other paths for your own personal safety. The concern to me at this point is I don't know why Ja's living this way right now, but it seems so needlessly reckless that it makes you really, truly concerned for him as a person and the people around him.
$200 million, $194 is the max contract for Ja Morant. He didn't make All-NBA, so he lost out on more than $30 million. That could have been the max contract by making an All-NBA team this year. I don't know if that, being suspended for a decent portion of the season doesn't help. The injury in the playoffs certainly doesn't help in terms of his numbers and, reputation, things like that, or historical view of him in the postseason. First and foremost, it's on Ja.
Yeah.
And it's a good point that maybe Morant is the bad influence around the other guys, but real true friends would not also be enablers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the real true friends would be like, slap him across the face like, what are you doing, dude? Like, also, I probably don't need to go on IG Live when there
Sure. Still, absolutely
so
fair.
There is a small percentage. I don't know why like that, because the initial take is obvious. Ja, you're dumb. What are you doing?
Yeah.
The other part is, it's not even his IG this time. It's somebody else's IG Live at this time. Like, it's just so, you got to have friends around you that are like, dude, what are you doing, man? It's time to grow up. You're making $200 million in your career. You're an NBA star. You went from almost, not even lightly, just almost non-recruited. You ended up in Murray, Kentucky. Murray, Kentucky. You know how hard it is to get to Murray, Kentucky? Try to drive there to Murray, Kentucky.
I would have no way of knowing. I've never been. I wouldn't know how to get there.
The only reason I know is because Family Reunion
Yeah.
is in Paris, Tennessee, which is roughly 30 minutes south of Murray. So we drive through Murray, Kentucky when we go through when we go to the Family Reunion. If you blink, you'll probably miss it. He ends up at Murray State and plays phenomenal basketball and ends up being a top, number 2 pick, number 3 pick in the NBA draft. And he's so much fun to watch, and his athleticism is explosive and all of that stuff. Like, you have done it. You did it. You did it. Now all you have to do is don't undo it.
Right.
All you have to do. You made it, man. You got $200 million coming your way. And also, maybe the dad doesn't need to be living the life with him. Maybe the dad could also be a dad.
When you say, hey, who, you got to listen to your friends, I do wonder, again, and I'm wondering, not knowing any of this, right?
Yeah.
But wondering, I do wonder, who is he listening to? Does he have friends in his life who tried and now aren't there in the car with him? And again, also, his dad's there. His dad's around.
Yeah. Right.
Has he gotten any good advice from him? And is he giving it? I don't know. I do get uncomfortable trying to get too deep into all the interpersonal stuff we don't know. But when the external stuff is so obviously concerning, if this was a person in your life, you would interpret it as either a cry for help or the step before one. And man, it's just it is really hard to watch.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to play that Bobby Marks clip just to hear what the suspension might be now in infraction number 2 for the same essential offense as the first time that got him suspended. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right, more than 20 years in the industry. Bickmore Electric, your locally owned and operated one-stop electrical contractor. If you've got commercial needs that you need to get taken care of, it's Bickmore Electric. You got residential electrical needs, it is Bickmore Electric. You got big jobs, small jobs, whatever it might be, the choices that are there. One of the things I loved about Bickmore Electric is, as I've talked about before, the different choices that they gave us for each individual item that we were trying to get fixed or improved upon. Hey, this is one small little, it's a light switch, but here are 4 different options as to how we can do this, what the price point is. Does this fit in your budget? Okay, item A over here, I think we're going to take choice number 2. Item B, we're going to go choice number 1. We know it's a little more expensive, but this is what we are wanting. Item C, we're going to go with the cheapest one here. Well, this is where we'll kind of fit some things in the budget. It's awesome to know that you have all of those different choices and they're going to be taken care of the right way the first time. It is Bickmer Electric. BickmerElectric.com, 913-313-6751, 913-313-6751. Give them a call. Go to the website. When they ask where you heard it, tell them it's Sports Radio 810 WHB right here on the Zone. Again, 913-313-6751, BickmerElectric.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages.
(913-912-4810). Let's hear from Bobby Marks. He's the NBA front office insider for ESPN. He weighs in on the potential length of what this Ja Morant suspension could be.
I think it's going to be substantial. I mean, what is substantial? Is it 25? Is it 30 games? I think that's probably that's the neighborhood you're looking at here. I mean, it's, they met with him. He went through the process. If you're the league, you're probably looking at it as either a sign of disrespect or, that he doesn't get it. I mean, if he didn't get it, that he lost $40 million last week by not being named All-NBA, I don't know when he's going to get it here. And is it having him sit out for 25, 30 games to start the season? I don't know, but I think it will be. If that's what the league direction is, I think it's going to be substantial here.
What was the suspension the first go-around?
I wanted to say like 8 games.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was less than a couple of weeks, right? This is now talking about not only are you playing, it was an 8-game suspension. Okay. So not only are you playing, it's not every day. Like if you got a 20-game suspension in baseball, okay, you're out, maybe 23, 24 days. I mean, you might be out 3 weeks total. The NBA ain't like that. 20 to 25 games, that's a third of the season, a quarter of the season. If you're playing 25 games, that's almost, a quarter of the season that you're out for this, for a half second on video. It's dumb. It's not smart. But eventually, the NBA will get to a point of like, okay, well, I don't know what more you want to do. I don't know if he would have been All-NBA. I mean, would he have been an All-NBA selection if this didn't happen in March?
I don't know.
I don't know. Probably not. But so I don't know that I can connect it and go, well, if he doesn't realize it cost him $40 million earlier this year by not being All-NBA, well, that's assuming he would have been All-NBA, and the only reason he didn't get voted for All-NBA was because of this suspension, which is interesting that you miss 8 games, and that's why you're not All-NBA. Well, yeah, off-the-court stuff shouldn't matter on what they're doing on the court. But regardless, this front office executive, former, and now ESPN insider, says that, there's a connection there, but now it's going to be substantial, 20, 25, 30 games for him to be suspended.
We're getting really philosophical with this part, but I think part of the question has to be, what do you want this suspension to accomplish? Like, what is the goal here? And Bobby Mark asking that question, did he just not get it? And that is, I think that's the right question, and that feels like the right kind of boiling down of things. But I think about anyone in your life from any degree of seriousness. How do you make someone who doesn't get it, get it? How do you make that stick? Like, I don't know that some incredibly stiff punishment for Ja Morant is suddenly going to make him realize, like, oh, I got to have someone else carry the gun, or I need to be videoed less. And again, really, the video isn't the problem. The video is how we are seeing the problem, which isn't quite the same thing. And those things can get conflated, especially in a very social media saturated world. When you can see it, it is a problem. But I don't think the NBA can make Ja Morant get it. I don't think that missing time is going to be the thing that makes everything suddenly click. Like there is just a bigger fundamental issue there that, again, isn't just about his team. It's about his own well-being. It's not about his money either.
Right,
It is about his physical well-being.
But also, it's like if $40 million isn't a motivation to make the smart decisions.
Yeah.
As a child.
No, what will it be?
Yeah. As a child, my son likes playing with his iPad, right? He plays video games, plays Roblox. Well, when he gets in trouble, that's the first thing he loses.
Right.
So motivation for making sure I do the right things at school is that I don't have to go like 2 or 3 days without being able to play Roblox with my friends online.
Right.
That's a video game motivation for a 7-year-old. This is $40 million that you're talking about could have cost you in that. And there are other articles that link that and say, the off-the-court antics, seemingly not being an All-NBA player was due in part to that.
Would he have needed to be anywhere on, like, any team, any All-NBA team? Because
That's
that was the case,
question.
then that actually probably makes sense.
Would make sense, yeah. And there's also the suit and countersuit with the kid that said that he punched him at the pickup game. That's the mall security guard issue that's there. Like, it's just general knucklehead stuff.
Right, and he hasn't shot anybody, and he hasn't gotten shot. But doesn't it feel like that's the thing that we're all, like, aren't we all afraid of the next Ja Morant headline, whatever it is? That's where I'm coming at it from. I'm afraid to see Ja Morant blank. Ja Morant what?
Right. We'll see what that is. Matt Verderam. Matt Verderam what? Matt Verderam blank.
Football!
Sports Illustrated.
Get to Zarda Barbecue today and try my favorite sandwich, the Turkey Crunch. And for a limited time, it's just $7.99. Come try the Turkey Crunch today for only $7.99 at Zarda Barbecue in Blue Springs and Lenexa. Zarda Barbecue, come get some.
Stephen St. John here for Kansas City Credit Union. Open a kids saving account in 2023 and be entered for a chance to win a new KC Edition Monopoly game. Help kids learn to plan ahead, set goals and priorities for their money, and it provides a place for allowance, birthday money, etc., and they can watch it grow. And it's also an opportunity to learn about different financial terms so they can get more familiar as they get older. And you'll be entered for a chance to win the new Kansas City Edition Monopoly game. So for more information, visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports.
He's a former coach with 2 sons who played professional basketball. Satch Sullinger's a competitive individual, but his golf game was suffering because of painful joints.
Right, that's real important, the golf game. Right, as we get older, we create these bad habits because we're relegated to hit a certain way.
QC Kinetics used regenerative treatments, all natural healing properties from Satch's own body, to restore those damaged joints and get his golf game back on track.
QC Kinetics Regenerative Medicine is regenerating me, all natural, and that's what I'm about. I'm going to tell everybody why I'm better.
Oh, and by the way, looks like the competitive Satch is back.
We're all in the same boat, and I'm getting better, and I'm watching them stay old.
Go to QCKinetics.com. Get relief and your game back. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
WHB Kansas City.
Hang with us this summer at the Kansas City Zoo, where every visit is a new adventure. Purchase a membership today for limited admission for an entire year, plus discounts on concessions, retail, select events, and more. Learn more today at kansascityzoo.org/memberships.
A big Kansas City shout out to Google Fiber. 1 gig internet at the same price since 2012.
We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. It's The Zone presented by Google Fiber. Enough unlimited internet for everyone in your home and all their devices. It's easy to set up and use. Probably don't even need their award-winning customer service at all. I needed it once, and it was taken care of within 12 hours of the issue, and that being the next day, Thanksgiving. Wednesday night, had an issue. Thursday morning, Thanksgiving, it was taken care of with the tech on site. That is Google Fiber. 913-912-4810. Let's talk some NFL football, some Chiefs football, some views around the league. Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated joining us here in The Zone. Matt, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing just fine. We spent the first hour talking some NBA, but let's get into some NFL. The schedule being released last Thursday night, trickling out along the way, but what did you think of the Chiefs schedule? Let's start with just the first game. Detroit as the opponent on opening night. You surprised that it was Detroit, or maybe makes sense in that no matter the matchup that night, it's going to be must-see TV, and maybe there is a tip of the cap to Detroit finishing 8-2 last year.
I was surprised. Look, I think Detroit's going to be good this year. I think they're going to win that division, although I don't know what that says more about the Lions of that division, but I do like the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win double-digit games. That being said, I was surprised it wasn't Philadelphia. Maybe it was one of the bigger teams in the AFC that the Chiefs are playing this year, whether it be Buffalo or Miami or Cincinnati. I don't dislike it. I think if you're the Chiefs, you're probably pretty thrilled about it. I mean, with all due respect to Detroit, I think that's a pretty rough assignment for the Lions. You got to go in there week one. The Chiefs almost never lose to start the year. In fact, Mahomes has never lost a week one game. You've got to go in there and play them when they're unveiling a banner. You're going to get their best schematic shot. It's a rough ask. I don't think it's ideal if you're Detroit. I think you much prefer to see the Chiefs in like week 6.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I was a little bit surprised that the Lions got that draw.
I think it's interesting from a Chiefs standpoint that, Aiden Hutchinson was so good last year, and, he'll certainly improve in year number 2. And then week 2 for the Chiefs is the Jags, where they've got a pretty darn good defensive line. That the Chiefs, with the offensive line moves that they have made with Jawan Taylor and now moving to the right side, Donovan Smith over at the left side for now, that they got a couple opponents right out of the gates that's going to test what that offensive line is going to look like with the way that those teams can put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, look, that's true. The Lions really, especially, were good up front, and I expect they will be again. Should be even better, frankly, with some of the maturation. But the Chiefs also catch a break in a couple of regards with those two teams. Jamison Williams suspended, will not play week 1. Cam Robinson is expected to be suspended, has not officially come down yet, but he probably will not be there. So there's a very good chance you're getting a backup tackle and a rookie tackle making a second career start in Anton Harrison in that game. The Chiefs' defensive line should feast against the Jacksonville team that even when they're healthy, that line is okay. When not healthy, it can be a big problem. But yeah, look, the ironic thing also, by the way, about the Chiefs' schedule as a whole, and it's just exemplified by that Jacksonville game. That Jaguars game, week 2, that is the only early window Sunday game the Chiefs play all season.
Amazing.
Every single game, otherwise, late window, prime time, or Christmas. It is a departure from days past. And the Chiefs, 15 years ago, were basically a noon kick every single game they played. So, yeah, look, early on, that Jacksonville game is one of the tougher road games they have. The Jags, it's a game they're going to be out for revenge, of course. But if the Chiefs can win that game, there's a good chance we're off to a pretty good start as they come home for the Bears in week 3.
It's amazing what the power of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can do, and just the scheduling of fans throughout the week. And that back in the day, it was noon on Sunday, unless they're playing an AFC West opponent. Then on the road, then it was 3:05, not 3:25, 3:05 on Sunday. Those were the only things. And maybe every once in a while you get a Monday night game. But now it's like you've got to look at the schedule to plan out your week. Are they Thursday night? Are they Sunday night? Are they Sunday at noon? Probably not. Are they Sunday at 3:25? Are they Monday at noon? Like, what's the? It might be Saturday with the Chargers. It might be Sunday Night Football for the Chargers in Week 18, depending on where those two teams are. It could be 3:30. But it's just you can't just go through the way of the past and just go, all right, home game noon. I know that for this team this week. It's crazy.
Really, look, Dallas, rightfully so, is that America's team moniker. The Chiefs have really become that. Really, they've kind of taken the torch from the past where, when it was Brady and Belichick, New England was just always penciled in for Nance and whoever his partner was at the time, Sims or Romo at the end. And then you pretty much figure, okay, they're going to be the national game. Whoever they're playing, unless they are playing the absolute dregs of the league, they're going to be in a big spot. And with the Chiefs this year, it doesn't even matter. The Chiefs are playing the Bears in week 3 in Arrowhead, in a game where, let's be honest, with all due respect to the Bears, the Chiefs are going to be favored in that game by, 14 points? That game's a 425 game. That game's going to be shown nationally. Yeah. And it's just because they are must-see television. Everybody in the country wants to see them. I had some people even ask me just on Twitter, why are the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Bills games, why aren't they primetime games? Well, because CBS is doing anything to protect those games.
Yeah.
They are the pick of the AFC Network. Hey, look, we need those games. We're paying for a package. Those are the games we want. And so you just end up with how many games that, with those being protected, these other networks like ESPN, who of course is the Monday night package, NBC is Sunday night package. They go, well, if we can't have those games, you got to have the Chiefs somewhere. And it's like, all right, fine. Well, put them on when they play the Packers. Put them on when they play the Patriots. Put them on when they play the Jets. They are just they're all over television.
Well, it's amazing because, Chiefs rivals, Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, your traditional AFC West rivals that we've talked about. And even across the league, that would have play. Okay, it's Chiefs, Raiders. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Chiefs, Broncos is going to be a good one. Now it feels like the Chiefs have moved into that Patriots realm to where the Patriots rivals with the Bills and the Dolphins and the Jets and everything in their own division, but it became Patriots-Colts as the big game that people were wanting to see. And I feel like Chiefs and Bengals right now, the way the two teams are constructed, has surpassed the rivalry of traditional, right now, not traditionally. It'll never pass the traditional rival of Denver and San Diego or now LA and Vegas. But across the league, the fans want to see Chiefs Bengals more than they want to see Chiefs Broncos, Chiefs Chargers, Chiefs Raiders.
I would make a real argument that right now in the United States, is there any rivalry that would get more people to watch and turn on the television than the Chiefs and the Bengals?
Because there's bad blood between the two. It's not only that the games are good, but it's 3-point games every time they play, and they don't like each other.
They're great games. The teams, most of the time, I think most people would agree, rivalries are more between fans than the actual players themselves in a lot of cases. Those teams can't stand each other. So, you have two teams that have no love lost. They play really good games. They have arguably, and I would say, the two best quarterbacks in the league. You have two teams that have come off of back-to-back games in the AFC title game where they've seen each other. It's just, those two teams, when they get together, if you're even a casual football fan, you're going to watch those games. I mean, they're the best games in the sport. And yeah, it's funny because before the last couple of years, I mean, Chiefs and Bengals.
Yeah.
What Chiefs fan would care about the Bengals and vice versa, right? I mean, it would never have mattered.
Chiefs Bengals that came to mind before the last few years was Peter Warwick returning a punt when the Chiefs were 9-0 in what was that, 2003?
Yeah.
That was like,
yeah, I mean,
that's the Chiefs Bengals memory.
When you talk rivalries between those two teams, it was who's going to have the higher draft pick.
Yeah.
And I mean, and now it's just a blood feud. I mean, it's funny really because even recently it was the Chiefs and the Bills, right? I mean, that was the game it felt like was going to be the game for the next dozen years, and that's certainly still a big game. Like when the Bills come to Kansas City on December 10th, that's a huge game. It's going to do a huge number for CBS, but it's not Chiefs Bengals. That game is the game that New Year's Eve. Who knows? That could be for the number one team in the conference. So, that has become just a mammoth game on the NFL schedule.
As long as these two teams continue to play at a high level, will that game ever be the first part of the first half of the season? Because, man, it is December or January that these two teams are going to match up.
Yeah, and if you're the NFL, like, why put it early in the season?
Yeah.
I've seen some people say, well, that way you maybe have better health. And maybe not. But I love the fact they put it on New Year's Eve. Like, I think it's nice because it builds drama throughout the year. If you're a fan of one of those two teams, if you're within a game of the other one, you know that come December 31st, you're going to have your shot. And if you win that game, now you're potentially the one seed, or you're at least ahead of that team, depending upon where the standings are. But no, I think it's great. I mean, I love when the schedule came out. I looked immediately for Chiefs, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals. Where is it? Well, they're late. I mean, they're late in the year. I mean, really, if you're a Chiefs fan, what else could you ask for in December? You have the Bills coming in, the Bengals coming in. You've got a Monday night game up in New England, and you got a Christmas Day game against the Raiders at Arrowhead. You can't ask for a better slate of games than that. I don't know what else you could possibly want to whet your appetite for the season.
And last year, Week 17 was Bills and Bengals with so many implications. It didn't end up being played, but that was Week 17. It was second to last. Believe me, my the group of friends that I play fantasy football with, we met that night to go at a sports bar to watch that game. Like it had that big of an implication to what was going on. The Super Bowl had already been won and all that stuff, and so we went there just to simply watch the game as a group. It didn't end up happening, but that was how big that game was in Week 17. Obviously, the Chiefs, had a role in what it meant, but that's now Week 17 for the Chiefs, and it's 3:25. It's not even that Monday Night Football game. Matt Verderam is our guest here from Sports Illustrated in the Zone on this Monday. Do you like Miami in Germany, or are you would you have rather seen Tyreek Hill get that return to Arrowhead?
I wanted Tyreek Hill to go back to Arrowhead.
Yep,
I got to be honest. I was disappointed in a way. Now, look, I get it, and for the fans in Germany, that's going to be cool. And Germany was an awesome atmosphere last year, so they deserve a really good game, and they're going to get one. But I'd be lying if I said, as just somebody who covers the league, I wanted to see Tyreek Hill go back to Arrowhead after all he's had to say and what Chris Jones had to say. That would have been something. I feel like now, they're going to play against each other, but it's still muted because it's in Germany. Like I don't know that you care as much. Not to say the Chiefs will want to win the game. Of course they will. But there's not as big of a revenge factor as there would have been if that game's in Kansas City. So the one thing I do hope for that game is just, that's Week 9. It's right before the Chiefs bye. I hope that Tua is healthy for the game because, that game should be really good. I think the Dolphins, in a weird way, have kind of just been slept on this offseason. The Dolphins are really good. I mean, the Dolphins got Vic Fangio to run that defense. They added Jalen Ramsey. They didn't lose any major pieces. Like, that team, you can make a real case that team should win that division. I mean, if Tua is healthy, which is, of course, the big, massive if, might be the biggest if in the entire league. But I think the Dolphins are right there. I think they're a contender. And that game, again, another game that the Chiefs are going to play that you can look at and go, yeah, you know what? That could have huge implications in January.
Yeah. Visiting with Matt Verderame. Do you does it matter to you, or do you pay attention or care about teams with extra days of rest before they match up, in a particular week, or does that ever really play that big of an advantage in the NFL week to week?
I think it depends on who the teams are. I know that sometimes there's a ton made about that. I think it matters more where your bye is in your schedule. I know, and teams will tell you that. That's all, for a lot of teams, that's the first thing they look at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When they get the schedule, they immediately look for when do we have a bye week. Like the Chargers have a Week 5 bye week this year. That's brutal. That is a hard thing. If they're not the number one seed in the conference, they go to the playoffs. I mean, you're talking about they're not going to have a break from really mid-October all the way to the entire end of the season, and that is a lot. Whereas if you're the Chiefs or you're the Eagles, you get a Week 10 bye, which is actually really nice because then both teams have a week off going into that Monday night game. They play each other at Arrowhead in Week 11. But yeah, I think it can help you. Look, if you're a really good team and you have the bye, yes, going into a game, or maybe you have a short, week, the week prior, so you have that mini bye going into the following game. Yeah, I think it can help. Now, do I think it matters if, like, the Cardinals are going to go play the Bengals, but they had a week off? I mean, no, I think it have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't think it makes any difference. But, like, for an example, do I think it helps the Chiefs if they have an extra 4 days going into Jacksonville? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt. So, I think sometimes that can play a role if you're a better team.
Yeah, I mean, I bring it up because they play Sunday Night Football in Green Bay, and then they return home to play Buffalo, and Buffalo's got a bye when the Chiefs are Sunday Night Football in Green Bay. So Buffalo's got a week off, and the Chiefs will be returning home early Monday morning from that game up in Lambeau, and Buffalo will just be sitting at home, and it'll be a much needed week off for them because that's Week 13 that Buffalo finally gets a bye. So it's one thing to be off in Week 5, but it's also another thing where you got to play 12 straight weeks of football before you finally get a break. Chiefs are going to play 9, get a bye week, then play 7 or 8, and then hopefully get a bye, then play 2, get a bye, and then play 1. That would be a perfect scenario. But there are from Week 13 through 17, the teams that the Chiefs are playing have extra days of rest. Green Bay is playing Thanksgiving against Detroit. Then the Chiefs go to Green Bay. Buffalo's got the bye. New England is playing Thursday Night Football the week that the Chiefs are playing Buffalo. And then they head to New England for, Monday night. Let's see. Vegas is playing Thursday night before they play the Chiefs the next week. And then the Chiefs play Monday Night Football against New England. And then Cincinnati is playing a Saturday game. So there's a 2-game switch there with Chiefs and Bengals too. So there's a couple days.
I think the benefits of all those, I would say the Bills have the biggest benefit because they have a bye week, right? I mean, I think that's probably the biggest benefit. Like, to me, if you're looking at it from a Chiefs perspective, do they really care that the Packers have a few extra days? Probably not. I mean, are they that worried about getting the Raiders at home? I mean, look, the Chiefs should be able to beat the Raiders. The Raiders have a month to prepare, right? I mean,
that's a good point.
It's a couple of days.
Yeah, it's just one day, I think, because
the other part of that though is the Bengals have to travel. The Chiefs don't.
Yeah.
The Raiders have to travel. The Chiefs don't. So even that. Now, look, the Bills, I would say, have an advantage having the bye. But here's the other side of that. The Chiefs won't have had to have played 12 straight games prior to that. And the Chiefs also have that game at home. And the Packers, one thing about that, it's not like it's a long trip to Green Bay. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be on a plane for, 50 minutes?
Yeah,
so,
that is true. Yeah.
I think that stuff, like if I'm looking at the Chiefs schedule, they don't have any 3-game road trips. They only have 2 2-game road trips. One of them early in the year, it's Week 4, Week 5.
You're right.
And one of them's to Minnesota. So, again, it's a short trip. The Chiefs do have one geographical advantage that, frankly, I never thought about until I moved personally from the East Coast to the Midwest. There are no really long flights.
Yeah.
Like Kansas City, I mean, the longest flight you're going to take all year long is what, Jacksonville? I mean, probably, maybe it's when you go out west to L.A. to the Chargers, which is the last game of the year.
Besides Germany, I know that people are going to besides Germany, and they get a bye after that.
That's a good point. I completely forgot about Germany. Yes, that is yes, but they do have the bye, which helps. But yeah, for the most part, most years, like if you're the Chiefs and you're staying within the United States,
Yes.
you don't have some of the trips that these, especially teams on the West Coast, have,
Right, yeah.
which obviously is a big advantage for the Chiefs because, of course, they're in the AFC West, where the Chargers, you got to go all the way across the country when you're playing the Jets, or you're playing the Bills, you're playing the Dolphins. Like, the Chiefs don't have to deal with that. And that over the course of the year, that's a significant advantage.
Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated is our guest. Is there a team or two that you think could surprise this year? Maybe it's because of the schedule, maybe not. Just in general, as we look at it right now, middle of May, that you feel like there's a team or two that you're like, you know what, this team could be the Ravens of a few years ago, the Steelers of a number of years ago that started off, undefeated and everything. Is there a team or two that you're looking at and go, this is a team that people should be paying more attention to?
Well, I mentioned the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't know that they qualify as a surprise team. They made the playoffs last year, but I think if Tua is healthy, and again, it's a huge if, but if he is, that team's really good. Like that team's a lot better than I think people realize it is. Like they are. In fact, I think frankly, if he's healthy, I think they're going to win the division. Like I think they're very, very talented. But I'll give you one that's a little more under the radar is Pittsburgh, and I don't think it's because Pittsburgh's great. I have a lot of questions about Pickett. That offensive line with Broderick Jones, I think, will be better, but I don't know how good it is yet. I didn't see it come together. You know they're well coached, and if you look at Pittsburgh's schedule, that schedule is a joke. I mean, they just do not have a lot of hard games on it. They play the AFC South. They play a very, very palatable slate of games. I mean, the division is hard, but outside of their divisional games, they get a lot of games that you look at and go, that should be a win, that should be a win. I mean, that team was 500 last year and had no offense. And this year went out and added some pieces. I love their draft. I think every year there's a team that you get to the playoffs and you're like, I don't know that team's a playoff caliber team, but they're here. The Giants were kind of like that last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Steelers could be like that this year. And in the NFC is more wide open, right? I mean, there's so much room to go up and down. I think Carolina could be a lot better than people think. Frank Reich's a good head coach. Evero is a really good defensive coordinator who goes from Denver to Carolina. They've got a lot of young talent. Now you have Bryce Young. He's going to be on an offense with Adam Thielen and DJ Chark and Miles Sanders. Like they could be a team in a brutal division that goes 9-8. 10-7 wins. I mean, somebody's got to, right? I mean, you have 6 games in that division, and they play the AFC South. So you've got 10 games if you're one of those teams where you're playing the AFC South 4 times, the AFC South 6 times. Somebody's going to get fat on that schedule. I'll make my bet that it's Carolina.
Last one for you, Matt Verderam, Sports Illustrated. Initial reaction to the Chiefs' record when you looked over the schedule. Was there initial reaction as to a final record for the Chiefs in those 17 games?
I think they'll win like 13 or 14 games. I guess if I had to pick one, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So they go 14-3. I don't think their schedule's all that hard. I really don't, which is weird for a first place team. But all their hard games, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, are all at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, historically speaking, with the Chiefs, I mean, what's their record going to be at home? On 8-1, something like that. Maybe they lose 2 on the road. They're probably like 5-1 or 6-0 in the division. I mean, they never lose these divisional games. Mahomes has never lost on the road in the division. So I'll say 14-3. I think they and the Bengals are the 2 best teams in the NFL, and I think that's going to materialize as long as they're both healthy again.
We'll see what happens. Matt Verderam, Sports Illustrated. Matt, as always, great stuff, brother. Really appreciate the time. We'll catch up soon, man.
Sounds good. Take care.
Absolutely. There's Matt Verderam, Sports Illustrated. Does a great job covering the NFL and certainly the Chiefs, but now doing a lot more general NFL coverage with still a focus on the Kansas City Chiefs. But yeah, Detroit opening night was a surprise for a lot of people. I thought it would be more of a marquee matchup. It wasn't. And yeah, I'm not excited about Miami being in Germany. It is what it is. Turns out Miami's pretty excited about it. So maybe not Dolphins fans, but the front office is pretty excited about not having to go to Arrowhead. Any team that was going to be playing in Germany against the Chiefs was going to raise their hand and go, we volunteer as tribute to go to, who wants to go to Germany? We will. Not everybody at once, okay? Well, we got to pick one team that can go to Germany. Oh, us, me.
It just hit me listening to Verderam that we missed a chance for Tyreek to call it Arrow Hill Stadium.
We see y'all at Arrow Hill.
It was right
Would've been
there.
that,
We
yeah.
could have done that. 2 ahead would not have worked. But Arrow Hill would have really caused some drama.
Yeah, Arrow Tagovailoa doesn't really have the same.
It doesn't have the same ring.
Same ring.
Actually, it
to
has the same number of rings. Tua and Burrow. Number 0. Because they haven't won any Super Bowls, Jason.
Yeah. And they both have the.
I'm working on more Arrowhead puns currently.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
They each have the same number of syllables as Mahomes has rings.
Interesting. Okay.
Last name Burrow, first name Tua.
2 syllables and 3 letters is really an
It's
achievement.
odd,
That really
yeah.
didn't seem right until you actually counted it out. Now I get it.
Toi.
Do you think
His name is not Toi?
Toi Tagovailoa. Do you think maybe they just will rename it like Mahomefurt Stadium? I don't want it to sound like Mahomes hurt. That's no good.
Yeah,
so
no.
you got to get the Furt for sure. And Frankfurt. How about this? Frank Clark Stadium. Chris Jones, I'm hearing you, man. Let's go. Frankfurt, Frank Clark.
They're playing in Germahomes.
Hey, there it is. We can take a break on that.
Then it sort of sounds like germ.
That's not great.
We're still working on this.
We'll
we're
workshop
yeah,
it.
We're workshopping it. It's brainstorming. We're going to noodle some more. We're going to noodle
How
some
long
more
is this
with
break
thing.
going to be, Drake? We have a few minutes to go ahead and really fine-tune one.
Yeah, we'll get
figure
this
it
one,
out.
and then we'll write it in ink and laminate it. It'll be the one moving forward.
I'm not going to do better than Frank Clark, Germany. I think that's just sort of as good as this is going to get.
Frank Clark, Germany, yes. Germahomes. He's a germaphobe. He's a Germahomes. It's dumb.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to the...
(913-912-4810). Going back to the conversation we had in the previous hour, says his buddy was much smarter and aware. While his buddy was doing the IG Live, Ja was the idiot who pulled the gun, whereupon his buddy was aware enough to shut it down. That is true. He's doing that, and it's IG Live. But again, I do wonder, did Ja know it was IG Live? And if he did, well, then he's just an idiot, and his buddy has nothing to do with it. They were just having fun. They were IG Live. Hey, look, we're out enjoying ourselves, and then all of a sudden there's a gun in the background, and let me just put the phone down and then stop the IG Live immediately. So 913-912-4810 is the text line. Text says, Jason just reminded me of Biff from Back to the Future. Did he just say sun's out, arms out? It means make like a tree and get out of here. That is true. That's a great reference.
It's a good poll.
I love it, man. Text says, the GOAT, Kobe, passed away. He did. That is a factual statement that Kobe did pass away. And we will be watching the GOAT go up against the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Kobe stands. You guys scare me a little bit, but like we don't have to play this. Like Kobe was great. Kobe was incredible, generational player, iconic. Can't tell the story of the NBA without Kobe Bryant.
That's true.
Don't have to start comparing him to LeBron and Jordan. It's not worth it.
I do like the bit that texter keeps going anytime I mention LeBron. They say Kobe.
This is a long-running thing for the same texter. All right, texter, you're on the. Never mind. As long as you're needling Jason, we're good again.
That's right.
The rest of Kobe stands.
It's great.
Just appreciate.
But you're right. There is a group of. Is it a continual joke of needling, or is this like, okay, you actually think Kobe is the GOAT? I always enjoy when they put, like, this morning there's a video going around about Jordan when he does like the palming the ball and the fake, like the fake at pass, but holding it and then, making different moves. I enjoy watching that, and then people actually looking at who was on the court and thinking those players could play in today's NBA. I just love that. It's like that guy would be a plumber. That guy's playing in Germany. That guy probably doesn't even get out of college.
And that guy, is that Chris Paul? God, he's been in the league a long time.
That's right. Why? How is Andre Iguodala still playing back then? It is crazy.
Jordan Iguodala, corner three, yes.
But that is a take that will get people just screaming and yelling and telling you you've never watched basketball before.
Yeah.
Because apparently you never watched the '90s. Now I grew up on '90s basketball. I'm just aware that turns out evolution exists.
I think,
and people get bigger. To say like, well, '90s basketball is these guys aren't as good as in the '90s. Cool. Well, then the guys in the '90s aren't as good as the guys in the '60s. I mean, come on, man. We run the 40-yard dash faster. We run the 200-meter faster. We jump higher. The bodies now are 7-foot guys that can dribble, shoot threes, and when they jump, the hands can almost touch the top of the backboard. Not, ooh, wow, he got his hand above the rim when he jumped. Also, this guy's wearing some knee pads and is going to work mowing lawns over the weekend.
Imagine Bob Pettit having to guard Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just tough, and I really hate. And this, I don't know whose fault this is. I don't know if this is First Take's fault or where in the sports media industrial complex this became the way that it is. And sometimes it's just easier to argue than it is to agree for content. But I really do genuinely enjoy it, and even more for football, just because that's my I have a football shaped heart, which is a real medical concern. Actually, I've got to get that checked out. But like whenever the old, we were talking after the show, it was some like late, well, actually it was during the show, we saw a little bit of it, some 80s like Seahawks game. I don't remember, Seahawks Cowboys or something. And I really love getting a little glimpse back at that era of football. And no part of me is sitting there going, man, I tell you what, Kirk Cousins would have owned these fools. Mm-hmm. He might have, but that's not why I'm looking back on it that way. Like, you just have to have a really aggressive mentality to be like, oh, that dude with the neck roll could never cover Jamal Charles in space. Like, no, he definitely couldn't. But also, I wouldn't want to run into him in the middle of the defense. Like, the evolution of the game is a natural part of all games. It's all good. It's all fun.
Yeah, and back in that football, it was crazy physical. There were less rules. You could mug the receiver. You could bump and run. You can push him and pull him and then run next to him and keep hitting him. You can do all of those things. You could hit the quarterback anywhere you wanted. All of those things are.
You could say anything you wanted to the quarterback, even if it hurt his feelings.
Right, and you would see that on the on those games. You would see that on the videos. You would see that. Unlike the nostalgia of an era that I grew up in, of 90s basketball, that anytime you went to the lane, people were clotheslining you. But then we see all these highlight videos, and there's nobody in the lane. There's people backing away. There's a dude who's 5'7" that's like, oh, I was going to guard him, but then I backed away. There's somebody that went and jumped, but could barely get off the ground and got dunked on. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. It's crazy physical. Yes, just because remember Bill Laimbeer and the Pistons and the Bad Boys, yeah, they wasn't all like that. And guess what? Those were fouls, too. And it's pretty physical in the NBA today, and they're fouls. I mean, it's whatever. There's just more flagrant fouls, whereas back in the day it was just a foul. Sort of like when it was 1980, it was Royals and Phillies, and I don't remember what game it was, but I was watching, it was a while ago that there was this old game on, but George Brett slides hard into third, and it's a hard tag, and it was a heated series already, and he gets up, and he just starts swinging. And it's like, after it was over, they broke it up. Brett's on third base.
He's on third base. Yes!
He's on third base.
God, it's such a good time.
He's on third base. Like, it's like, okay, here we go. Let's play ball. Hey, guys, break it up. Break it up.
And
let's play ball.
I loved a home plate collision.
Yeah,
that was maybe again, you know,
stupid.
I really
Buster Posey, thanks a lot, man.
That's what it was. It was like, man, I love that. And then Buster Posey happens. You go, all right, I get it.
Yep.
The hard hit NFL montage. What was the name of the VHS tapes?
Jacked Up. Well, Jacked Up was on ESPN.
It's on ESPN.
Yeah.
They were like the specific old VHS that was just a compilation of Jacked Up.
And you know where you would get them? When you ordered Sports Illustrated magazine, they would hit you. They would give you like the hard hits on VHS.
It's great. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And now we all have a little more information. And now, and really watching it in real time, I'm horrified by it and much quicker. Well, here's a real big picture sports nostalgia question. Of the big three, like American sports, the professional ones that we have here and bring the NBA in, how many of those are we watching the best aesthetic version of in the modern era right now? Because I think I would probably argue that football is in it right now. I think I would argue we're in the golden age, but if you wanted to go back,
I think
15 years, 10 years,
it'd be tough to say baseball.
It would be very tough to say baseball
because all the strikeouts and walks, and look, the pitchers, the max velocity, seeing somebody throw 102 with like 9 inches of run,
crazy.
It's unbelievable to see the ball move like that. But you're also not hitting the ball and not putting the ball in play.
We're seeing the best baseball players and the best baseball playing.
Yes,
but are we watching the best baseball product?
That's exactly
I think
right.
you're right. I don't think we are.
We're seeing the best pitchers we've ever seen that are throwing faster, harder, with crazier, exploding stuff than we've ever seen, and we're seeing guys hit the ball, and so we're seeing that. But you're right. It's like the aesthetic enjoyment of a beautiful part of the game. I think we're seeing that in football because it is a more offensive game. And it's a crazy hot take, but I think we're seeing it in basketball. These are the best players that we've ever seen. It is a world sport. The USA has to actually try when it comes to the Olympics. You're seeing how many straight years an MVP is born outside this country?
Great question.
Because how many were there before this run starts? Like 5 straight years? The MVP was non-U.S. born?
It's Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and then Harden, Westbrook, Steph.
Yeah, so we've seen this run of 5 straight years.
That's interesting.
Before that, there was like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
and now we've seen 5 in a row with
Dirk,
3 different players.
And actually, you got 3 in a row because Steve Nash is Canadian.
That's a good.
So
that's fine.
That feels counts. It counts. But we all understand Canada's not quite as foreign as overseas. There's no ocean. You can drive to America from Canada. Canada and Mexico border.
Canada still counts.
Still counts, though.
Still counts.
I'm sorry, he was born in South Africa. Forgot about that.
Nash?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he went to Santa Clara.
So, he's a worldly individual.
Didn't he?
He was born in... I should have known that.
Yeah.
So you had 3 in a row with
right. So it's a
Nash,
more
Nash,
it's a
Dirk.
more world game. I mean, you're seeing people from all over the world that are coming in and making an impact and playing at a high level. It's a much more skilled game. Okay, so maybe people they may not like the aesthetics. They may not like the 120 to 108.
Right.
They might like the 95 to 84. Games a little bit better.
I like scoring.
More of maybe an overall. Like I said, I'm not denying that it was a physical game back in the 90s. I'm not denying that at all. But more of a there's more freedom of movement. There's more ability to have an offensive game, which then highlights the skill level a little bit more, but also makes it incredibly difficult to play defense. So when you do see defensive stops, you know that those are pretty freaking hard to do because you've got to be quick, strong, fast. You've got to have athletic ability to jump and block shots, and it's a skill level and an athleticism that we've never seen at the NBA level. And I'm nostalgic. I love those 90s teams. I was a huge Pacers fan for some reason. I was a big Magic fan with Shaq and Shaq and Penny.
Yeah.
It was Weber, but then it ended up being Penny. I was a big fan of those teams. Then when Shaq went to the Lakers, I liked the Pacers because for whatever reason I liked Reggie Miller. So I became a Pacers fan.
It's hard being a free agent NBA fan.
Hated the Knicks. I liked Jordan, but I didn't want the Bulls to win because I wanted other teams to win.
I
right?
get that.
It
Absolutely.
was the dynasty.
Absolutely.
But it's like, how are you going to beat this guy because he's the greatest that's ever lived? And I'm tired of hearing about Magic and he'll never – because remember, Jordan was a one-on-one scorer. Magic was the winner, so Magic was the GOAT. Magic could win. Jordan could not. Jordan was just – until Jordan became the GOAT, and then he won 6, and it's like now nobody can win like Jordan, and it's dumb to even think about there was a conversation about Jordan not being able to win. But it became annoying that they won all the time. It was kind of like, the Chiefs. There's an acknowledgement of what Patrick Mahomes is, and obviously they haven't won 6 and haven't won 3 in a row. There's an acknowledgement of what Patrick Mahomes is, but there's also a great rooting interest against the Chiefs, which is why they are must-see TV, because how many people are indifferent on the Chiefs? How many NFL fans are just indifferent on the Chiefs? It's either you love them or you're freaking sick and tired of them, and you want to see them lose, and they're throwing it in your face of Super Bowl champions. They bring up the Lombardi trophies up there. Apparently, Clark Hunt wearing his ring to the owners' meeting is an issue. It's just sick and tired of this team that clearly the refs gave them the AFC championship and the Super Bowl. I want them to lose. There's nobody indifferent on the Chiefs, and I don't think there was anybody indifferent on the Bulls in the 90s. And there's nobody indifferent on LeBron.
I don't want to just make this about LeBron or about specific teams and players, but was the best basketball we've ever seen 10 years ago? Because you get peak LeBron and right in the crux of that Heat team, right? And right around when Steph and the Warriors, when you had peak Steph and Clay and peak LeBron kind of around the same time, because it really feels like we are, whatever it's been now, 5 or 10 years removed of the entire league realizing the Warriors math. But I think it might have been a little more interesting when the Warriors were still proving it. You know what I mean? Before it was all copycats.
Well, Kerr was hired in 2014.
That would line up.
So at that point, when the Warriors took that next step forward,
he was hired before the 2014 season.
I think 2014's playoffs.
I'm just trying.
First year or 2014-15. I thought the summer of 2014 in the playoffs was Kerr's first year, so maybe he was hired in 2013.
Okay, because that would be the only year that he would have overlapped with the
Heat,
LeBron Heat. Would have been that 13-14 season, because in 14-15,
and then he went to the Cavs.
He
and
was
it was
back
Cavs
in Cleveland.
and Warriors, Cavs
Yes.
and Warriors, Cavs and Warriors, Cavs and Warriors. It seemed like almost every year.
It is so wild.
Those were great battles.
This is a spin-off into a topic we can talk about before the show even, but like the Steve Kerr effect has gripped the NBA by the neck with all of these head coaches who have won a lot, but not enough.
Yeah.
Because everyone's afraid that they still have Mark Jackson. It's crazy.
Jason, you were wrong. NBA was better with Magic, Bird, Pistons, Jordan. We all were more invested in players due to watching in college. Signed, grumpy old man. Text says, human evolution takes tens of thousands of years. It doesn't happen in a couple of generations. Training and nutrition has greatly improved. Rules of change can only compare relative dominance to their respective time period.
That last part is true. I think we're using evolution as shorthand for nutrition and
so
and science.
We're using
and all of
it
that.
when like probably the evolution of the athlete and the ability of the athlete that, Giannis, his size is. LeBron's Karl Malone. LeBron is the size of Karl Malone. People don't realize that. When you look at the height and weight, he's Karl Malone. He doesn't play like Karl Malone.
No, that's right.
LeBron back in the day would be Karl Malone. He'd be a back to the basket, power forward. Can he guard the 5? Certainly, but he ain't bringing the ball up. He's not knocking down threes. He's not doing some other things. The offense isn't running through him with the ball in his hands. That's the evolution. And Victor Wembanyama, when he enters the NBA, he's 7'5" with a 35-foot wingspan apparently.
I think that's low.
And he's crossing dudes over and step back threes and things like that. So the evolution of the athlete, maybe not like the evolution, but yes, evolution of running the 200-meter, running the 4-minute mile, leaping higher and jumping farther, and all of that stuff. Yeah, the evolution has happened in terms of somebody had a video of an Olympic gymnast on what is the high bar where they do like the flips and stuff? Is it the
uneven bars where there's two of them? That's uneven bars, I think.
So the uneven bars, and it was somebody that went around really slowly and then held himself up. And then slowly went around again and switched hands, and then it showed at the same time an Olympic gymnast that's flipping and doing all these different flips and in the air and switching hands, and then 7 flips off and then landing on his feet, and the other one was just see, I'm holding one arm. I'm holding one arm here.
They were probably both gold medalists like that. I love those around the Olympics. I love comparing the gold medal winners.
Yes. All right, we'll take a time out, and now that we got into all of that we clearly planned for the 11:30 segment.
Sorry for having fun, everybody. Sorry if you didn't enjoy our segment about fun and sports nostalgia.
No, it's all.
We come back, we'll talk about Vinny Pasquantino.
Tex says, drive to Canada, get that poutine and maple syrup. Yes.
Be a lot harder to drive to Steve Nash's actual birthplace, apparently.
Tex says it was against the Yankees. Sorry. I just remember there being and see, that's a little bit of my. I was born in 80, but 77 playoff game versus the Yankees. Nettles and Brett throwing the haymakers.
Nettles and Brett.
And then Brett just standing right back on third. Guys, break it up. Stop fighting and swinging.
Let's do away with ejections.
Let's go. Who's next?
I like that a lot.
Brett just stands right at third. It's amazing, man, seeing that. I don't know why I thought it was the Phillies, but whatever. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling, and we'll talk with Craig Brown into the Fountains newsletter. Talk some Royals baseball with him coming up at noon. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Craig Brown coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. Learn Funniest Best, presented by Pyramid Roofing. Matt Verderam in the first part of this hour had Chiefs at 14-3. Initial reaction to the Chiefs record, or Chiefs schedule. Initial reaction to the schedule and what record he thought they would be at 14-3. I did a lot of looking a couple of years ago at teams that had extra days of rest versus the Chiefs having extra days of rest. I think it might have been before the 19 or 20 season, and did all that, and it turned out it had no bearing whatsoever when the games were actually played. It's like, well, this team got more rest and then lost. Well, this team got more rest and won. Well, this team got less rest and won. Well, this team got more rest and lost. Like, it really didn't have a rhyme or reason to it. Some of it is certainly opponent related. But it is interesting, week 13 through 17, that 5-game stretch for the Chiefs, each team they play has more rest than the Chiefs do going into that game. Whereas the Chiefs will be playing Green Bay on Sunday night. Green Bay will have played Thursday Night Football the week before, and the Chiefs played Vegas on a Sunday. So that's a couple of days extra rest for Green Bay. Buffalo has the bye week after the Chiefs go to Green Bay for Sunday Night Football, and then they play. The Chiefs go to New England for Monday night, and the week before that, New England is Thursday Night Football. So New England's got an extra rest because they play Thursday night and then Monday night the week after that, whereas the Chiefs play the Buffalo Bills at home. Then they go to New England for a Monday night game. They got one extra day of rest than they typically would, but that is that's also against a team that plays on Thursday night. And by the way, Green Bay, not Thursday Night Football, but Thanksgiving. The Green Bay Packers play Thanksgiving, so Thursday at noon, whatever. And then they play Vegas. After the Chiefs played Monday Night Football, Vegas plays Thursday Night Football the week before. So the Chiefs are playing at New England. Vegas had played Thursday night. So there's 4 days extra or 3 days extra for Vegas. And then Cincinnati plays on a Saturday in Week 16, whereas the Chiefs play Vegas on Monday.
In addition, I just sent you a DM.
So there's an extra couple of days. Will it matter? I know this. The previous time I looked through all of that stuff, it didn't. So, I mean, we'll find out if it does or not.
I just shot you a DM if you want to pull up this graph for yourself. I know we love graphs around here.
Yeah, graphs.
And Timo Risk of
Take
PFF.
a look at this graph.
I love that one. Timo Risk of PFF back in 2019 went and kind of reran some of these numbers. And basically the findings are that those mini buys, the Monday night, the Thursday nights, all of that, have not had a very large impact one way or the other, but the full week advantage does have a significant impact. So like you and Verderam were talking about, I still, whenever you show me the 4-day advantage on Chiefs Chargers this year, I'm going, I bet Andy Reid might have a couple extra days to work on something, and getting healthy, that's all. Yeah, that's obviously a huge unknown that we can't predict now. But I do think that the biggest impact by far in the rest or lack thereof is that Bills game where the Bills are coming off the bye, and that I didn't realize that when the schedules first came out. I hadn't cross-referenced all of those yet, and that one to me doesn't change my prediction or whatever right now, but as one of the up-in-the-air games, that puts a couple of blocks on the Bills side of the scale for sure.
And it'll be the Bills that had 13 straight games, 12 straight games before their bye week in Week 13. They would have played 12. So they're going to need that rest to, I don't know, get healthy, or nobody's going to be healthy in Week 14. But they play 12 straight games, then they get the bye week, then they get the Chiefs on the road. Whereas Vegas's bye week is Week 13 as well. So when the Chiefs play Vegas on the road, it'll be the 12th of 12 straight games for the Raiders.
Wow.
The Chiefs will have a bye, and then they'll play Monday Night Football at home against Philly. Then they'll go to Vegas, and Vegas would be playing their 12th game in 12 weeks. So there is an advantage. It's not a 1-to-1 to where, the Chiefs get an extra day advantage, or the Chiefs get one less day advantage or whatever. It's not that. But not getting the bye week until Week 13 is rough when you get to that Week 10, 11, 12, because you've been grinding throughout the entire season. And the last time you got a week off was the week before the regular season. And that's sort of that anticipation and getting ready, and are you really resting up? Well, you're resting up from training camp that isn't like the training camp. It's not Tim Grunhardt's training camp.
Yeah.
It's not Tim Grunhardt's practices and training camp that you're resting up for. And then you got 12 straight weeks of football. So that is an advantage for the Chiefs against the Raiders on the road. In that should be a pretty banged up Raiders team. And who knows what health looks like at that point in the season. You can't ever predict those things, which is part of why I'd like to see Chiefs and Bengals earlier in the year from time to time, because there's a better chance of players being healthier in those games. Week 17, who knows who's going to be out there.
And the thing that's probably in kind of those aggregate totals of total days of rest and everything, I'm looking at it again now, and a really, really good chart that's above that one on the thread I sent you from Joseph Hefner at Joseph Hefe on Twitter. He's been doing a lot of good Chiefs visualizations for a while. But when you see that big, nasty -7 with the Bills, you go, wait a second, where's the big green 7? And that goes back to the Chiefs and Eagles having the same bye week like we talked about last week, where they're both going to be coming off 15 days of rest because they're both off a bye to a Monday night game.
Yeah.
So in those big aggregate totals, and even just playing by these rules where a full bye week might matter, but the mini buys haven't had a huge impact historically. The Chiefs don't have the advantage of playing a team where they're coming off a bye and their opponent isn't.
Yeah.
And the Bills have that leg up on the Chiefs.
They did a few years ago. They played like 3 teams. It was a year in which they played no teams that were coming off a bye.
That sounds familiar.
2019 or 20, they had a season to where nobody they played had a bye the week before. And of course, because the NFL is trying to do what they can for the Chiefs.
Right, exactly. They're trying to
help the Chiefs. But that was one of those really fascinating, wow, they don't have one game this year that they play against a team coming off a bye. Now, they've got 2 this year, but one of those, they are on the bye at the exact same time with Philadelphia. But the worst would be, week 5 and week 14. I think it's week 14 or week 13. 13 or 14 is the final bye week for teams. And week 5 is the first one. Those are the ones you want to avoid. Can you be somewhere in the middle between week 5 and week 14? The Chargers have the bye week 5. That means when they play at the end of the season in week 18, it will be 13 straight weeks for the Chargers to play.
And their whole goal is to make that 13, 16, or 17 straight weeks of playing. You're talking about playing an entire season if you want to end up making a Super Bowl?
Yep.
I think my math's right on that.
They play 12 straight weeks of football when the Chargers and Chiefs match up in week 18. The Chargers would have played 12 straight weeks. And then, like you said, first round of the playoffs would be 13, 14. If they go to the Super Bowl, it would be 15 straight games with no bye week.
I guess you get the bye before the Super Bowl.
That's right.
There you go, Chargers. You want another week off?
Go to the
you
Super
can
Bowl.
have it the first week of February.
Either lose, and then you get the whole offseason off,
Yeah.
and you can go win championships in the offseason.
It's either Cancun or Vegas. No other options.
That's right. There are a lot of things I like about the Chiefs schedule that we got into on Friday. Bye week in the middle there. We knew all of the really tough games were at home anyway, but I like it. Craig Brown next.
Kevin Harlan here with the man who embodies Built Ford Tough, Bobby Sight of Rob's.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, this Monday edition of the show presented by Google Fiber. Let's talk some Royals baseball. Craig Brown, Into the Fountains.substack.com is our guest here. Craig, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. Better than the Royals started off their road trip this week.
You know what? Let's reverse some fortune. They can't win at home. This is ridiculous. They win at home. Why can't they go and win on the road? What's the deal here? They play the Brewers. It wasn't a great start to the series on Friday night, which kind of assuming it was going to be a loss with Burns on the mound and going up against Josh Taylor and Max Castillo. They didn't play great baseball. They didn't play terrible baseball. It's an interesting sweep considering how rough this season has been to kind of have not crazy upset, not crazy enthused. It's just sort of, there's some games they lost, but it's not like the 2006 or 7 Chip Ambrose and Emil Brown Royals that we've seen.
Well, they did try to channel that energy
One
a
play.
little bit on Sunday.
That is true. Christian Yelich tried to. Yelich said, "I'm going to steal second," and they said, "Well, I'll just go home. Just get off the base paths. We want to clear it here. We want to start over."
Yeah, but otherwise, no. I mean, it wasn't a bad necessarily weekend of baseball. You just sometimes you come out on the wrong end of the score line. I thought that Max Castillo did a nice job as the bulk guy. Again, you're just asking for your pitchers to keep the games close, keep the team in the game, and he pretty much did that. Saturday's game, they got walked off, but again, close one. Sundays was the one, and even Sundays, where they're kicking the ball around like crazy. They still, were. Felt like that there were moments where they were in there. I know they rallied for the 2 in the 9th to make it a little bit closer, but it just sometimes the breaks just kind of don't go your way.
It felt good on Sunday because they were up 4-1, and it's like, okay, going to the bottom of the third, you just need Lyles to, just keep getting through some innings. You don't want to walk the 8 and 9 hitter. That seems like it's suboptimal for anybody, especially with a 3-run lead. Like, it's you're up 3. It's 4-1. Got 8-9 up there. Don't give them free bases, or do give them free bases. And I did appreciate that eventually Matt Quatraro woke up in the bottom of the third inning to realize, oh, wait, hey, guys, what's going on? Lyles doesn't have it. He's not going to make it out of this inning. You sure? All right, I guess I'll get him out of there. That's fine. And then he was able to go back to sleep once his team was down 4 again because then it didn't matter. But I appreciated him finally waking up to the realization that everybody else knew that Lyles didn't have it. And maybe it's because he threw 112 the week before, or the previous start, and, the complete game, whatever it was. In that third inning, he wasn't getting out of that third inning. And we've seen that a couple of times with Matt Quatraro already, of everybody watching and going, he's toast. Chapman ain't getting out of this. Get him out of the game. Jordan Lyles, done. Get him out of the game. And I understand not wanting to, because you just had your bullpen on Friday, and you want to then, this is the guy that you're supposed to have eating some innings. But at some point, it's also like, all right, we got a 4-1 lead. Let's try to win this game, and Lyles doesn't have it at this point.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty obvious too. Just again, a key thing to look at for me is just the velocity of the pitches. A guy like Lyles is not a hard thrower, but his velocity was down over 2 miles an hour on his fastballs. Both the four-seamer and the sinker that he throws occasionally, both those pitches were off by 2+ miles per hour over his average. And then even going back and looking through the game logs, his complete game was the hardest that he was throwing the fastball all season, the start previous. So if you look at that and you go game by game, he was down almost 4 miles an hour from his previous start. A huge red flag there. Yeah. Just either he's dealing with something, fatigue from going 100+ pitches, throwing the complete game as his previous outing, or just not able to get loose on that particular day. Something, again, he's even though he had retired, I think up to that point, 6 of the first 7 that he had faced. Yelich, just doing damage against the Royals all weekend long. But he's living on borrowed time at that point. And then when he can't locate after that, and it was clear the Brewers were going to be running, and of course that's when the ball gets kicked around, which obviously doesn't help matters, but still that inning overall, top to bottom, just a total and complete grind, which as you mentioned, derailed the entire afternoon for this team.
And about Jordan Lyles specifically, I was talking on Twitter yesterday, just in general, and Royals fan saying, look, what's Jordan Lyles doing on this team? Like, I know what he was signed for, but what's he actually doing? And that to me is where, like, okay, is there a change of mindset for Matt Quatraro in that game? It's like, look, we need him to eat innings. He's an innings eater. Yet he's only done that twice in his, 9 starts that he's had. He's gone into the 7th inning, I guess, 3 times, 6 1/3, and then he threw 8 innings, and then he threw the complete game. Other than that, he's got 5 1/3, 5 2/3, 6 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings, and then 2 1/3. Like, even if you say, well, this guy's an innings eater, he's not eating the innings to show that, okay, he can get out of this. Because an innings eater is a guy that's able to get out of those innings, is able to go and pitch for, okay, there's some damage, I limited it, but I end up giving up 4 runs over 8 or 9 innings, over 7 or 8 innings. All right? You're not taking me out because there's not a blow-up inning. And, it might be a slow drip. It might be just small leaking of blood, but it's not just hemorrhaging. And that's not really what he's been this year. He's not pitching into the 7th inning. He's not pitching. I mean, he's doing what really is expected of most pitchers. Like, you're pitching 5 1/3, 5 2/3. You got to the 6th inning. You pitched 4 innings. You pitched 5 innings. And the reason is that, he's got a 7+ ERA. He's not making it that far because his pitch count is elevated because he's giving up runs. And he's walking too many guys on the season. And so it's like, what is his job right now? And I do wonder if Quatraro has to change his approach of, this guy's going to be an innings eater, to, I'm going to treat this guy the way that I would treat Zach Greinke or Daniel Lynch when he comes back, or, whoever else that's there on the mound.
Yeah, I think that we're using the term innings eater, and I think that there's 2 different ways that you can do it, and I think that you touched on both. I mean, to me, the innings eater is the guy that will go out there and get you 7 guaranteed, and like you said, there's going to be damage. He'll dance around it, but you're good for 7 innings before the fatigue sets in or whatever, and the guy that's going to save the bullpen is the innings eater. Lyles is the innings eater in that, they're shrugging their shoulders going, somebody has to throw the ball. It may as well be him.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it. It's just the 2-year deal. It's a mystery, but it says a lot about where this organization is overall, with the development of pitching, the failures of the previous coaching staff, and there's a lot of ground to make up, and Lyles is the guy that they grabbed to bridge to whatever they're building to. And right now, that's another part of the problem. You're not even seeing where they're going with this. It's like this. We're on this wheel that's just turning, but we're not going anywhere. There's no progress that's being made right now. Lower minors, it's not all bad, but at the major league level, Lyles is a guy that, last year would average 5.5 innings per start. So he's given about 5.5 per start this year. He's the same guy, and he's not going to be any different. He's just a dude with an arm that can, get up there and chuck the ball 60 feet 6 inches.
I guess innings eater. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know what I expected. It's just kind of, at this point, shrug your shoulders. Okay, whatever.
I think innings eater, I'm going to change. Innings eater, I'm still viewing that as maybe in the traditional sense when I think of that particular pitcher. And I guess I need to think of it in the new age of baseball. Innings eater means start eater. Means every 5 days starts eater. Because in 2019 he threw 140 innings. 2021 he had 180 innings. Last year he had 179. But he threw the ball 28 starts, 30 starts, 32 starts. So he ain't eating all the innings, but every 5 days he's going to the mound. And maybe that's the new age of he's maybe innings eater needs to be changed to consistent every 5 days will be available to throw the ball.
Yeah, and what he did in those years was pitch to a high 4 ERA overall.
Mm-hmm.
Was worth. 2021 wasn't a good season for him, but 19 and 22 when he made a lot of starts in those years also. Worth about 3 F WAR combined. So to me, with the contract that they were paying him, I was hoping that you would get a guy that would provide, like, overall, when the season was over, like 1 WAR, kind of a guy that was better than a replacement type player, but a guy that would provide a modicum of value. You're not getting that right now from him at all. So maybe he turns it around, but again, it's not like the Royals have guys beating on the door,
right,
to take the spot from him in the rotation.
Yeah, which is the next part. And by the way, that 1 WAR he's pacing towards that is just minus 0.8. So you didn't say you said you wanted him to be a 1 WAR. You didn't say positive or negative. You just said 1. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
He misinterpreted what you meant, and I think that's maybe organizationally, and I think that's part of where they are right now, and the perspective of how this is an evaluation season and wins and losses and all of that stuff is that early May they can't cover a hole in the rotation. They cover it with Josh Taylor and Max Castillo. Because who's at AAA to slide in? Daniel Lynch still has the rehab starts, and I know that Lynch and Bubic could have been part of that if it wasn't for the injuries that they had. But that's also organizationally where, 162, you've got to have the depth of guys that can come up and pitch. And we know they're not there in terms of that depth. But, early May, it's like, who's going to do that? I don't know. Yarborough's out, Bubic is out, Daniel Lynch is out. We just got to go Johnny Holstaff, and we'll go Josh Taylor and Max Castillo. And it might have also been a little bit of a surrender game with that guy's on the mound over there. So does it matter who we throw? We can call up somebody from AAA and say, look, we got this guy in the holster. This guy's ready to go not in the truest sense of the bullpen, but in the minor leagues, and bring him up, and we can lose 6-1, or we can just go with Taylor and Max Castillo and lose 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. So in a little bit kind of a white flag anyway. But it is it is a snapshot of where they are right now from the previous regime and what was left to how far away they still have to go in that May 13th or 12th, that it's we got to figure out these guys in the bullpen that just have to go because nobody else is there.
Yeah. I think, I wrote about it. The analogy is you're turning that ship around, sailing out in the middle of nowhere, adrift. We didn't know where it was going, but they know it's in the wrong direction. So it just takes time to, get it pointed in the right direction. And you're paying for the failure of, previous coaching, previous decisions in the front office that weren't helpful to this team, and who knows how long it's going to take. You hope it's sooner rather than later, obviously, because you don't want to go out and watch a guy like Lyles struggle like that, and barely get the 5 innings if he even gets that. Like we've been saying. You want some of these guys to hit, but as you said, the injuries happen. You got to have some depth. You're not all, you start the season with 5 guys in the rotation. Those 5 guys aren't going to be in the rotation.
Yeah,
making 32 starts. You're going to be lucky if you have 2 of them that get through the entire season. So you got to have a backup plan. And right now, I don't think that the Royals have the arms to have a coherent backup plan.
Craig Brown is our guest from Into the Fountains, intothefountains.substack.com. Let's talk about a positive. Freddie Fermin, in the way that he's playing, it might be too early, but is this real? Is there a chance that this is real from Freddie Fermin? He's 28 years old, but or at least this is his 28-year-old season. I think he has a birthday tomorrow, so he turns 28 years old tomorrow. Is there a chance that this is real?
I mean, he's a guy that I've been impressed watching up here because it just feels like, he has that ability to slow the game down. Doesn't get too overwhelmed by the situations at the plate. He's done well in AAA. In 2022, 365 on base percentage. A lot of walks. He is a guy that knows the strike zone, and is a guy, and I think as we watch the team this year in particular, I think we've kind of come to understand, watching a lot of these young guys that don't have a lot of experience, that approach at the plate, it really matters. I know we're talking about Fermin, but a guy like Michael Massey, right?
Mm-hmm.
April, the approach was completely messed up. May, he's kind of locked in on something that makes sense as an approach. He's walking a lot more. You've seen the production, improve for him by leaps and bounds over the last, 2 weeks. Fermin is a guy, for me, that, has that right approach at the plate and stays within himself, doesn't try to necessarily do too much, and is a guy that, I don't know that, we're talking about a starter at the big league level, a total replacement for Perez if you were looking to, maybe put somebody else behind the plate full time for the Royals. But I think that he is obviously more than a capable major league backup, a guy that is perfect for somebody, to partner with Salvi, because you can afford to give Sal a lot of time off behind the plate, put him at designated hitter, save him a little bit more, because we've all seen, still the Perez at the mileage that he's got behind the plate, the age, he's still just an amazingly productive major league hitter. Keep him fresh, which means more Fermin behind the plate, so you're not seeing a big drop off when you got the backup in the lineup. I've been just really impressed with him.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's not Cam Gallagher that we're seeing come in and say, well, this guy's a defensive replacement and he's batting 200 and his OPS is 600. Freddie Fermin, he's been in the Royals organization since 2015. And the Royals signed him, so he's only been in the Royals organization, and this would be a cool success story even if you got a backup catcher. But the reason I ask, is this real, is you mentioned last year in Omaha, and he OPS's at 845 last year in Omaha, but from August on he OPS'd over 1,000. In Winter League last year he OPS'd over 1,000. In Omaha this year he OPS'd at 1.1, and with the Royals right now he's OPSing over 1,000. So it isn't like he had a night. Oh, and also in spring training, he OPS'd 912. So since August of last year, all the different levels, AAA, winter ball, spring training, AAA majors, he is OPS'd at either 900 or over 1,000. This isn't he's had a 2-week stretch, and is this real? Well, he was an OPS of 600 in the minor leagues, and the Royals had to bring somebody up to be a backup catcher. Knew he's having a hot streak. He's been this guy since August of last year, and I don't know if something changed as a 27-year-old in a couple of months, but we saw Whit Merrifield, and we asked the same question with Whit, right? Is this real? Is this a guy that can actually hit 320? Can he lead Major League Baseball in hits? He has the reputation of in the minor leagues in hitting, but the Royals never really thought they had much in Whit Merrifield, or he would have come up earlier. By the time they called him up that season, he was batting like 260 in AAA. He wasn't batting 320, 330 like he had in previous years. So was it just a good couple of years? Is he a 4A player? It's probably too early, but this is not a couple week stretch for Freddie Fermin. Since August last year, he has OPS'd at over 1,000 at AAA, winter ball, spring training, AAA again, and now at the Royals.
And catchers, it's a I'm trying to think as we're talking a late bloomer at catcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand a guy like Merrifield, maybe that had the tools playing second base, outfield, but catcher's such a demanding position that it wears a guy down that, throughout the season. So it's just even, it says a lot about Fermin that in August, of last year
is when he turned it on.
Kind of
is when it changed.
To take flight. Yeah. Because that's around the time we'd go, well, it's a long season. He's wearing down. It's hot. It's whatever. But he's really proven himself. I keep looking at the approach at the plate again. You know, he's walking, you know, over 10% of the time. His strikeouts are, you know, a manageable rate. I think that just he's selective without losing the aggression at the plate, which is obviously key. So, you know, and again, like you said, a fantastic story. I mean, just, you know, he's a guy in a difficult season that you can really, you know, throw everything behind, because it's you know, another catcher from Venezuela who, you know, clearly, you know, looks up to Salvi and who, you know, forms, you know, a really nice partnership there. I thought the bunt, you know, to win the game, the last game on the homestand, that was a lot of fun, you know. So easy guy to get behind. You know, so hopefully it is. Hopefully this is a real deal and it is locked in. Now, I mean, he's performing at a super high level.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be 1,000. He's not going to be 1,000 OPS. I'm not asking that, but you know, if he starts to come back a little bit, is this just real to where the Royals might actually have a backup catcher that when he's in the game, you don't feel like, well, there's an automatic out. No, now when he's in the game, you're like, okay, this guy might hit a 3-run home run. This guy might drive one to the gap. Here's an extra base hit for him. He's got 9 hits, and 4 of them are extra base hits so far this year. I mean, 29 plate appearances, 4 extra base hits. Yeah, and last year in Omaha, and this year, last year in Omaha, and this year in Omaha, while he was down there, he had 71 strikeouts and 57 walks. So almost the same number. I mean, the guy's not up there just never taking a walk and striking out every other time. So I'm intrigued by it. I'll say that. I'm intrigued by it. And right now, the Royals do not have a hole in their lineup when Salvi needs a rest.
Right. And, you know, the other thing that's really important about this is that it allows the Royals to keep MJ Melendez in right field, where he's continuing development as a defensive player, because I'm sure that when the Royals started the season, and for me, obviously, you know, he didn't make the roster, and we all were kind of thinking that he had a good shot. As you said, he had a good spring, and it made sense for the Royals as a team to carry 3 catchers because of the way they use Melendez. But, you know, so I think that they were maybe even thinking early on that Melendez would kind of play that role of the guy that would spell Salvi quite a bit to keep Salvi fresh, but now you got Fermin doing that, and the byproduct is you keep Melendez in the outfield, where he's shown, you know, great improvement defensively. So this can only, I think, help the team, you know, in the long run. Again, you know, you're looking for stuff, and we start out talking about the pitching, you know, horrible. But Fermin is a guy that, you know, is a real net positive in just more ways than just like, oh, the guy's swinging a hot bat. He allows the Royals, you know, roster management to benefit from that too.
And I wonder if it's twofold. One, MJ, you know what, just take the catching duties off. You're struggling at the plate. You're searching. You become a better right fielder. It's not just an experiment out there. You're playing a representative right field. So just simply do that. But also, is it a sign of the Royals feeling like Fermin is closer to being real, in that they go, well, MJ doesn't need to catch if we've got Freddie Fermin. If we've got this guy doing this, does Alex Zumwalt, does the pitching or the hitting staff look at it and go, this isn't a fluke? What he's doing, his approach, we saw it in winter ball, we saw it in spring, we saw it last year at AAA, we've seen it in AAA this year, and now seeing it at the big leagues, that, you know, MJ can be the right fielder. We've got our backup catcher in Fermin.
Yeah, I was always kind of questioning, you know, moving MJ between outfield and catcher so much at the major league level. I mean, catching, it's so difficult. It's such a demanding position, and for a guy coming up not to be the full-time guy, it didn't seem like it was going to serve him well, and I don't think it was. And so now, you know, the ability to do this with Fermin, it's a real net positive. Again, not a surprise that Melendez has been hitting the ball really well in May. You know, again, he was one of those guys that a lot of hard luck early in the season, but his strikeout rate is down, his walk rate is up. Again, just kind of an improved approach at the plate, and I just got to think also it's easier on him mentally, just knowing every day he comes to the lineup, or comes to the field, he's in the lineup in right field instead of trying to see if he's going to catch or not. And you know, I think it's it's a great benefit to really all three players. It's interesting. One move, you benefit three guys.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you make it?
Last one for you. Do you like the juggling of the lineup almost daily by Matt Quatraro, or and maybe it's him also evaluating? It's trying to win, but also the evaluation season. Or would you like to see there be more of a set role outside of Witt and Vinny? Witt, Vinny, Salvi has kind of been the main lineup in May. Witt, Vinny, Salvi, MJ, really, if you're looking at the most used lineup. Do you like the shuffling after that, or would you like to see more set roles with some of these guys?
I mean, I think it's just kind of where the game has gone, and the Royals knew that they were going to get a guy like that when they hired Quatraro. It's the Tampa Bay, kind of mindset. If the players don't mind it, and I haven't heard anything, I think that they could juggle it a little bit more. I mean, Witt is a guy that, I'm not entirely sold on him as the leadoff guy. You got other guys right now that are more adept at getting on base. Maybe even shuffle that around a little bit. But, I mean... Well,
maybe not even just the shuffling of lineup. Maybe it's even just the backups that... and it's in a 16-game stretch, 16 straight games, which is the longest of the season. So I understand you need to keep guys healthy. Right. But that lineup of Witt, Vinny, Salvi, MJ, Olivares, Prado, Massey, Garcia, and then whoever else is in center field, we've only seen that 3 times since Garcia was called up. And getting different guys days off, I get it, but that lineup has produced 25 runs in 3 games. So, I mean, I'd like to see that a little bit more.
I do think that eventually something will lock in, but I don't think that we're ever going to see something where we go, this is the lineup, and you're going to see it 75% of the time over a month. I don't think that that's ever going to happen, but I think that we will see more like regular guys in regular spots kind of as it evolves. And again, a guy like Prado up or Massey, those guys I think will kind of click in. I think that we'll figure out where they best fit.
Craig Brown, Into the Fountains, intothefountains.substack.com. Craig, you're the man. Appreciate the time, brother. Enjoy the week. We'll talk in a couple of weeks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. There's Craig Brown, intothefountains.substack.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to expand a little bit on that with the, I guess shuffling of the lineup isn't the correct way to view it. Maybe it's shuffling of the reserves. And, if you bat Garcia, then Massey, and then the next day it's Massey, then Garcia, doesn't really bother me. But it's 3 of those guys are now out of the lineup this day. There's 2 guys that are in that group that are now out of the lineup this day. I want to expand a little bit on that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. Learn funniest best. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, thank you to Craig Brown, intothefountains.substack.com. You want to hear a good story?
Love to hear a good story.
So Sam Mellinger retweeted this, and this was tweeted out about an hour, almost 2 hours ago by the KC police. It was school day at the K last week. It said, a young boy attending school day at the K is alive thanks to Officer Matt Delou, D-E-L-O-U-X, Delau. I apologize, Matt. He took off last Thursday to bring his son to the pregame activities and Royals game. During lunch, he was standing in the parking lot watching the kids play. He said, quote, "This kid ran up to me and grabbed my arm. I thought he was playing at first, but then I saw he was in distress and not making any sounds. He was choking." Delou quickly went over the steps in his mind and wanted to avoid the Heimlich maneuver, fearing he might injure the boy who looked to be about 10 years old. He bent the boy over, put his arm across the boy's diaphragm, and started striking his back. It took a full minute and several strikes to dislodge the food. Turned out it was a chocolate bar that was stuck. Kids don't eat chocolate. It's the first lesson we learned from this. And he said, I didn't know him at all. I asked him why he came up to me, and he said it was because I looked the most professional.
Great kid logic.
That's all.
Choking right now.
In the time he was choking, he had the presence of mind to scan the audience, scan who was there to say who looks the most professional. And was he dressed in like slacks and a collared shirt, khakis and like a nice button down?
He was weirdly wearing one of those like touristy lifeguard T-shirts, and just happened to get lucky, like a Red Cross kind of deal.
Probably right. Yes, it was a businessman special. He had a shirt and tie on.
Yeah. That's
Either way, great thinking because he happened to go to a police officer. Said when the boy's dad arrived from Platte City to pick him up, Delou drove the boy to the gate, later called the principal who had gotten word from the family the boy was doing well. As for the officer's quick thinking, it's not the first time he's saved a life. Several years ago, his own son was choking on food, and Delou saved his life.
I was about 10 years old when a lady at the grocery store in my little hometown saved my life with the Heimlich maneuver. I had one of those little things where you put in a penny and you get like 3 sprees out back in the 70s. I got one of those, and I was playing some video game, and something surprised me on the game, and I inhaled, and that thing went down my throat. And I remember going over to to one of the bag boys, and he was like, "I don't know." And
I can't breathe. I don't know what's going on. This kid's bothering me.
He was not professional.
No.
But a lady who, at the time seemed pretty old, was probably 50, which is how old I am now. She just came around and said, "Here you go, honey." And she just gave me the Heimlich. And my mom was back in the store somewhere shopping. I had no idea where she was. And so the Heimlich is something very easy to learn. And everybody should know it. And this police officer, knowing that, he might injure this kid, and there are other things you can do too, but knowing them is just as important as being able to do them.
The scariest moment I've had in that was young teens, and I refuse to eat hard bread now. So like bread with like Italian food.
Yeah, like a little baguette, not for you.
Yeah, like if it's cooked or baked a little bit too long, and it's got that hard exterior that
like
can
a crusty
crunch.
bread.
Yep,
okay.
Can't do it because I was eating spaghetti, and I had taken a bite of this bread, and I remember there being like a little bit on the outside of my mouth, and so I breathed in to get that little part off my lip, and what it did was it immediately lodged in my throat one of the harder pieces of the bread that was there. And my mom came over and had to, hit me on the back. Luckily, she's used to doing that. So she walks over and, hits me on the back, and it dislodged. But I just remember that's one of the scariest feelings in the world, because your initial reaction is to breathe in, which then pushes it further down. But yeah, I don't usually, I don't do that anymore, to where if there's something on it, you can just sort of, let me just, no, not anymore. Not since that. It's like, just use a napkin or something else. But yeah, and I also don't eat the hard. If the bread is hard and it's got the crust and you can snap it.
Yep.
Nope, not for me.
Interested.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
My biggest choking stories are all related to the Suns, so I don't have one that could top you guys, unfortunately.
That's so funny. I saw that coming.
There's no Heimlich for that.
No. Although apparently they are interested in James Harden, though. It should really help. That's a new report this morning.
Interesting.
Should really help.
Yeah. So awesome that
very cool story.
Officer Delou was there with his son. at school day at the K, and something tragic was avoided because also he had the training and knew what to do. And if I had $1 every time I said, I need to learn CPR.
Yep.
I would probably not. You know what? I might have a vacation home. My wife and I might have a vacation home if every time I said, man, I got to learn CPR. Really from the point of me being a substitute teacher back in like 2005, 2006. From that point to now, it's a long time, by the way. It's roughly 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
And then having kids. And then you hear other stories. And you hear the story of Mike McFarland, saving a kid's life by performing CPR that he was trained in. And he said he hadn't been trained. He hadn't done the training in like 20 years.
Yeah.
But just remembered it and saved somebody's life until the paramedics showed up. It's like even that. I'm like, man, I need to learn CPR. So if I had $1, I'd be able to not learn CPR while I was on vacation in a nice beachfront property.
And even if you don't have $1, you could still get certified with CPR, Heimlich, all of that. Just there are always workshops and stuff going around.
Yeah.
It will not take you very long to find one near you that would be convenient to do, I'm sure.
I know. That's kind of the point. Yet 16, 17 years later, here I am in the same spot, whether it's procrastination or laziness or, I'm not, it'll be fine. My life motto annoys my wife. It annoys my wife a lot. It'll be fine.
We'll figure it out.
Hey, there's something wrong with it. It'll be fine.
It can be all right.
It'll be fine. Hey, I lost my job. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
We can't pay the mortgage. It'll be fine.
Don't we own the house already? No one ever explained how this works to me. I thought this was our house.
Chad's been calling all day, trying to get a hold of you. Something about don't come to work tomorrow. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Maybe that life motto. Maybe at the you know what? It won't be fine. Go do something about it. I don't know. It'll be fine.
There's got to be a good alternative to "it'll be fine" that isn't.
I haven't found
it's a
it yet.
disaster.
I haven't found it yet.
It's too. We've got to figure out if there's a middle ground somewhere.
I haven't found it yet. I'm still searching for that.
And you know what I think? I think it'll be fine.
It'll be fine if I don't find it.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
you're laughing, stop. I'm talking about All Weather Decks building you the ultimate outdoor living space to answer the call of Mother Nature to get outside and relax with family and friends. All Weather Decks is a 24-time winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award and has probably helped one of your neighbors. Click the map link at allweatherdex.net. Do what I did and give Cass and his team a call at 913-206-1974. Check out the website, allweatherdex.net, and relax.
Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Compensated dramatization.
What if your car wreck case settled for $2,000 and you later found out it may have been worth $200,000?
Insurance companies try to trick you into taking a quick, cheap settlement. Don't fall for it. Call me. My team will get you what your case is worth.
I didn't take a quick buck from the insurance company. I called Mike and his team after my wreck, and they got me $200,000.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for home sweet home. We're for condos, tutors, single wides, and studios. We're for ranches, houseboats, 2 stories or 20. Red cedar, bluebirds, white squirrels, black walnuts, whatever's out your back door, we're for that. We're for watching the sun rise over the Mississippi and set over the Missouri. We're for kicking off your heels in a high-rise or hanging up your hat in the boot heel. And if you have a home in Missouri, we have a policy for you.
I am Jeff Carr, your Missouri Farm Bureau agent, and if you're in Clay County, I've got you covered.
Hey guys, Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health to let you know that you don't have to take Viagra for the rest of your life. Acoustic wave therapy has changed the game. Trust me, I've seen guys come in who have completely given up, only to see them back in the game after going through our treatment program. So call West Coast Men's Health today.
Call 913-243-3200. That's 913-243-3200. 913-243-3200. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
WHB Kansas City.
Hang with us this summer at the Kansas City Zoo, where every visit is a new adventure. Purchase your Friends of the Zoo membership today, or unlimited admission for an entire year, plus discounts on concessions, retail, select events, and more. Your membership also includes discounts to other zoos across the country. Perfect for your upcoming summer vacations. Get your membership and learn more today at kansascityzoo.org/memberships.
Football season will be here before you know it. Complete your game day setup before kickoff with a home equity line of credit from First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Get game day ready with a HELOC at ffbkc.com. First Federal Bank of Kansas City, because banking is personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Bickmer Electric will get you up to code for your voltage load. Bickmer Electric, we're gonna wire it right and hook you up tonight. Bickmer Electric.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Edwin Watts offers the best selection and the latest in golf equipment, apparel, and accessories. Swing by Edwin Watts in Overland Park today to elevate your game.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of the show until 2 o'clock. Learn Funniest Best coming up later on this hour. Mick, what's up? How are you?
I'm good, man. So Josh is here all the way up till Saturday? What are we doing here?
Like he's leaving like Thursday or something, or he's leaving, I don't know when his last day is. It's Thursday or Friday?
Wednesday at Atomic Cowboy Sports Saloon,
right.
baby.
That's worth it.
Oh, that's right. He's not going to be a part of Everybody Wins. But since he's not here, everybody wins.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I have given I don't know if you've approved of the depth chart or not, but I've given a light look at the playbook to Sterling Holmes. I think he will emotionally be prepared to give some truly horrendous trivia about some like yacht rock or something.
I see.
Frankly, if you can get Lebo, I would prefer that. You would prefer that. Yeah. Lebo would prefer that.
Lebo's got Stump the Chumps later that day, so maybe he takes that 1 o'clock hour off and prepares all of his questions to get ready for throwing them Seren, Peter Yates, Enoch, and Curtis's way.
Maybe Lebo does sports and you do leisure while I'm gone. How about that?
Oh, my goodness. Switching things up, a little switcheroo. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I don't know if our relationship is advanced there.
I remember almost a quarter of a century ago when I got married, like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
A literal
going on 26
generation.
years now.
We're going 23. And so I had 2 weeks vacation for the whole year. That was it. That's all I had. I was working Wichita at Cake TV in Wichita, so I didn't take any. It was all going to be for my wedding, so I used it all around the wedding. And then I remember they called me in from my vacation for my wedding, like 2 days early, because Roy Williams was making his announcement that he was staying. Or it was
I'm staying.
It was actually in the middle of we're chasing him down. We think he's leaving. He later said he's staying, and so
I'm staying.
Did you recoup that vacation day?
No,
or,
there was none of that back then.
Yeah, sorry,
it's a different deal.
I'm off. I got the day off.
Employee rights.
Not answering that phone.
Are more of a thing now than they were back then.
Where would you be in life if you would have just said, no, I'm not coming in?
I don't know.
What would you be doing now? Because clearly, by answering that call and showing up, you now are a sports director at KSHB 41.
Yeah. I feel like that's always been kind of like my work ethic. I'm always going to, if not, always put family first. But, I mean, most of the time, family's just being family. They're on the couch. So I'm like, yeah, no, I can come in.
Family is just being... I mean, just most of the time, family is just family.
There's
I mean, there's
family.
being.
They're
What are you guys
just
doing?
familying around.
Familying this weekend.
Familying.
We familyed this weekend a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of familying going on this weekend.
You keep adding more syllables, and it's starting to sound a little bit like Brian Kelly, and I'm really into it.
What,
We're just
Brian
familying.
Familying with my family. Yes. Yeah. No, I didn't realize you only got 2 weeks vacation back then. That's cool. I'm still working on trying to get vacation. It's awesome. But Josh is gone for a couple of weeks. So like, Jason, you can't go anywhere. I was like, well, I need to take a day off. You're not allowed. So I guess I'll do the show while driving.
There's some places, if you're like, it's a really great job at a big place that has lots of money, they do the unlimited vacation now.
Like Mr. Unlimited for Russell Wilson?
Yeah, but I think it's actually almost helps the employers better because they basically have nothing to pay out once you leave, right? If you've built up a lot of vacation and it carries over, you can't
It's
pay that out.
unlimited.
It's unlimited.
So hold on. So if you build up vacation, it carries over. You still get a payout if you leave?
There are some places that you can, if you don't use all your vacation, they pay it out. Now, where I work, it ends. You
Ours use it or lose it. Yeah.
December 31st.
Ours is use it or lose it. Yeah.
I have comp days. I literally have comp days from probably 2018 that I haven't used.
What's a comp day?
I know those will be there for posterity. Those don't get paid out. And
what's a comp day? Just you just take a day off?
No, if you worked 6 days in a week,
oh,
I get one comp day.
Okay.
And
I just thought maybe you'd show up and they would just tell you how great you are. Just get a complimentary.
Compliment? No,
just hey.
It's compensation.
Mick,
That's what the comp sounds.
You look really good today. I love the way this is working here. Right. Your turn, guys. Mick, the last package you did was really, really good.
Mick, good? Your package.
We good? Hey, enjoy the rest of your day, Mick. This has been a comp day.
Yeah.
I'd settle for a comp day.
But you don't get. So if you were to take one of those off on like a Tuesday, you don't get paid for that day.
Say what?
You don't get paid for that if you take a comp day on like a Tuesday.
No, you already worked that day.
They don't get paid out. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
They don't get paid out when you're done. My bad.
And so if at our place, if you take
Nick's
all
gonna be able to retire in like a month.
Take all your vacation days. We have PTO. It's called PTO. Take all your PTO first.
Yeah, it's not vacation.
Burn that, and then use your comp days after that.
It's not vacation. I didn't take a vacation at Disney World.
Yeah.
It's not a vacation.
You had time off. Yeah,
I took a trip. It was personal time off.
You had PTNH, paid time not here. Like that's it. Was still you were doing a job. Your job was keeping your family happy.
How was your vacation? I'll tell you once I take one.
Yeah. I did see the sun many of those days.
See, Josh is going on a vacation. The honeymoon vacation. He's going to be
I think that's probably true.
He's going to be, overseas.
We got stuff to do,
visiting
places to
different
go.
countries. That's right,
things
yes.
to see. So
avoiding the NBA playoffs as much as possible.
Getting easier and easier.
It's a good thing. You don't have to.
Yeah. At one point, I was like, oh man, I'm going to try to maybe have a 2 a.m. London time trying to catch the little Suns game. That might be kind of a fun experience to have. Over. Guess what? Suns did me a favor. I'm sleeping.
Catching the Suns game.
Yeah. No, only Sun I'm going to see is going to be in Barcelona.
That's funny. That's very cool that you thought you would be able to do that.
Delusions. It's wedding season.
Neat.
Optimism.
Nate's getting the hookup for Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final down in Miami. Nate's going to be down in Lauderdale doing a soccer match.
Yeah.
And
that thing goes 6.
Yes. And oh my goodness, what's
Celtics are sweeping.
Oh, what's his name?
Jimmy Butler?
No, not Jimmy.
Jason
Butler.
Tatum.
No. He works for the Miami Heat, and he
Eric
works
Spoelstra.
He worked here for the Independence Examiner. He's good friends with St. John. He hooked us up with tickets when we were down there for the Super Bowl down in
I remember
Miami.
that guy.
Oh,
And we
sweet.
went
Don't
to
know his name.
Yeah, dang it.
Hey, guy, if you hook me up with tickets, I'll remember
But
your name.
he called in this morning because Nate was going to be down. I called in this morning. He was like, all right, you're going to be down there for Game 6. I got you. And so live on the
Dude.
air.
Oh.
And now I'm just thinking, well, if that thing's over in 5.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because he was joking. He's like, Nate, I keep hearing you talk about Game 6. You don't understand Heat in 5. Why are you not appreciating Heat in 5? You keep talking about this Game 6 that's going to happen.
Nate,
Heat
I'm
in
so
5.
confident you can have every seat in the arena in Game 6.
Not going to need it.
Not happening.
Not going to need it. So you don't need to watch Suns while you're overseas.
Why
So
don't
good for
people
you.
call in and just offer us things during the show? Are the phones open? 913-381-1010. You want to call and offer us any
texts?
I already got it.
Tickets?
I got to go and experience that. It was awesome. Then
Okay,
got to
my
go down-
personal phone number
Got
is...
to go to the nightclub in American Airlines Arena down in Miami.
Wow.
Sitting there, and like Alonzo Mourning walks through, and Pat Riley was in there, and then we saw Aaron Donald there, and I'm like, he doesn't look that big.
Not as big as you'd think, Aaron Donald, right?
I mean, he's yoked.
Yeah, he's thick.
He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him, but I could kind of look eye to eye to him. You know, I wasn't bowing up, but like
You're taller than him, right?
Probably. It was
I think you
pretty
might be.
close. Yeah, it was pretty close. Like I'm thinking like Chris Jones, right? Defensive tackle in the NFL, like dominant defensive
Aaron
tackle.
Donald's
Oh, he's
6'1".
short. Yeah, you're
it's
taller
like,
than him.
Like 6'1". What's he weigh? It's all
Was
muscle.
it 280?
I know that it's all muscle. Like he doesn't look whatever he weighs, he does not look that. He had a medium shirt on, so you could see how chiseled his body was, and you're like, that's not a defensive tackle of the defensive tackles we think of in the NFL. That ain't the Gravedigger that we saw, or Freeze that we've seen with the Packers and everything. That's not the ones we saw with the Patriots and Bills. Those aren't the defensive tackles we think of that are those dominant guys. Certainly not a first and second down guy, but it's amazing what he looks like in person.
Did they make him take the knives off his hands to get through the metal detectors, or did he have a special entrance? Like, I just imagine he constantly has knives attached at all times.
he did not have a weapon on his person.
Wow, okay.
So which is good.
Yeah, no, that's great. I thought it was like the Wolverine claws,
No.
or that's pretty much like they're just always. Maybe he just retracted them. Maybe that's actually what it is.
It was good. So we got the hookup. It was great. Mick, ye of little faith. I said last week, wait till Sporting turns it on.
They turned it
Back-to-back
on.
games, dude. Beat the number 1 seed. Beat a team that last week was in the playoffs and now is on the outside looking in.
Routed them.
I mean, they'll take care of St. Louis this weekend.
That would be big. That would be nice.
Why I'm way too invested in Sporting and this St. Louis match on Saturday already. That's just my general disposition and general dislike of St. Louis. Is that
Yeah, and they're really good too.
I know, but it bothers me that it's like they get an MLS team and now they try to, we're the soccer capital of the world. Oh, our MLS team is better than yours for 4 weeks.
Do you really think Kansas City is the soccer capital of the
Yes,
world?
it is.
We're a great soccer town.
Soccer
We've come
capital
a
of the world.
long
We've already
way,
claimed it.
But I don't
We've already
think-
claimed it.
I would say there's places that are maybe better, but that's not.
Is it St. Louis?
Not St. Louis.
Exactly.
Definitely not St. Louis.
Even if we aren't number 1, we're certainly higher on the food chain.
Remember when the NASCAR Hall of Fame was almost built here?
Wow,
we were,
yeah.
We were
What
one of
year
the
was
3
that?
finalists. And we're like, but this would be great. We'd love it. But I feel like there's maybe some other places that deserve it more, like in the Southeast.
I've always thought of this as the NASCAR capital of the
Have you?
of the United
There's
States.
so many capitals here.
I've always thought of this as the NASCAR capital of Kansas. Always.
It is.
Yeah. Right at the Legends.
Yeah, Legends, Speedway, all that.
It's
Is that
always-
where they were going to put it?
Yes,
I haven't
by the
thought about
track.
that in a million
Yeah,
years.
It'd be odd if they just put it downtown, next to Two Light.
You're right, but it also would be odd for it to be in Kansas City, Kansas.
Oh,
so,
I
I mean,
they're just putting it in the T-Mobile right next to the College Basketball Hall of Fame. They're
It
going to
would
put the
be a
NASCAR Hall
little
of Fame.
strange.
That's where the Hall of Fame section is going to be.
We're closer to the college basketball capital.
Well, the Soccer Hall of Fame
than we are the other two.
is in Dallas.
Okay.
But it's also because of the Hunt family. That's why it's really but it also makes sense because of the Hunt family that they've invested a lot of money in the National Soccer Hall of Fame. So why not just put it there in the stadium where Dallas FC plays?
I think Lamar Hunt's in 11 Halls of Fame.
Yes. Yep.
Is that right?
And tennis is one too.
Yeah.
Big in tennis, soccer, and then you've got like the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, Kansas Sports Hall of Fame,
Texas,
the,
Hall of Fame, all these different halls of fame with states. But yeah, 11 Halls of Fame, AFL, NFL. Just name a Hall of Fame, he's probably in it. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
if they
in
ever
Cleveland,
did like a
he's
Hall
there.
of Fame of Hall of Fames, like he'd probably be in it.
It'd be
because
12.
You're,
It'd be number 12 he's in then.
if you're in double-digit Halls of Fame, you're in the Hall of Fame.
You would think. You would think that's the case. I asked Josh this question earlier. I don't expect you to know because I didn't know it until I read it this morning. But you know the significance of these 4 teams remaining in the NBA playoffs?
Yes.
Oh, you do? What is it?
Oh, no.
Oh, darn it.
Well, hold on.
You could just name anything because Josh said...
yes, they were the 4 in the bubble,
yes,
right?
that's
There
right.
you
They were 4 in the
go.
bubble.
P1. He was listening. He just played it off like he wasn't.
No, we talked about it last
no.
night.
He talked about it last night on Sunday Sound Off,
yep.
probably.
And then I think this is this 3 of the last 4 years it's been Heat and Celtics.
Yeah.
Right? In the Eastern Conference Finals.
And it's amazing because the Heat are even here. I mean, there were Heat fans that were saying...
Spoelstra's like the Tom Izzo
they
of
wanted,
the NBA, right?
They wanted to lose because they didn't want them to make the playoffs so they could get a better draft pick. And now they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's like, you still want them to lose? No, I was dumb. I want them to keep winning.
Didn't they lose one of their playing games?
Yeah, they're the 8th seed. Yeah, they're the...
They were.
No, I know. But
yeah, then I guess they would have
So
had
they
to
lost their
have,
first
yeah.
one.
Right,
And then won the...
won the second?
Yeah.
Because if you're 7 or 8, you got that. You can.
Yeah.
If you're 9 or 10, you have to win both, right?
I mean, the Lakers were down by 15 in the fourth quarter against the Rudy Gobert-less Timberwolves in their first play-in game to get the 7 seed.
They lost to the Hawks by 11, and then they beat the Bulls and got it from there.
Yeah, and that's where Miami fans were rooting for the Bulls.
Right.
Yeah.
To just lose, be out of the playoffs, and then not have to worry about, lottery, all of this stuff. No, now you're in the Eastern Conference Finals and a chance to go to the NBA Finals, which is crazy. Which, as much as like Doc Rivers is going to be fired and Monty Williams is fired and Budenholzer and all these guys are fired, like Spoelstra's just there, just kicking.
Yep.
Just
He's been
continuing.
in like 6 of the last 13 or 7 of the last 13, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and he was a guy that was like, just put him there as the front piece of these the big three in Miami. He watches a lot of film, right? He's like the studier. Okay, we're kind of attaboy. You've been with the Heat for a long time. You've worked your way up. This hardworking guy. He's done all the dirty work. Okay, we'll make him a coach. Turns out it's pretty good. It's a pretty good coach, I mean, because the NBA is so quick to, you were coach of the year last year? Oh, cool, you're fired this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you won a championship 3 years ago? You didn't make it out of the first round. Yeah, you're fired this year. I mean, NFL coaches that win a Super Bowl can write their own ticket whenever they want to quit. Like, you know what? I think I'm going to retire in 10 years from now. Well, you're not doing very well. Remember that Super Bowl 4 years ago? Okay, you're right. Retire whenever you want. You want a Super Bowl.
Who other than Philadelphia has fired a coach shortly after winning a Super Bowl, or at least getting to one? If you go back to Andy Reid, because they fired Peterson.
Well, yeah, I guess Doug Peterson.
But that's the only example I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Was it like a true firing of Doug Peterson, or was it a mutual, this ain't working with you? We also don't think this is working with you. We're just moving on, because it felt like Doug Peterson was pretty tired of the BS at the time as well.
Did he take a year? He did take a year
He took
off,
a year off,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the framing of that was.
Yeah, I just remember the whole thing. Like, well, he's
They went 4-11-1. This article uses the word dismissed from the Sporting News.
And wasn't Doug Peterson the one that was really going against the upper management wishes by not playing Carson Wentz and putting in Jalen Hurts? Wasn't it something like that? It was like, well, he's putting in this player. Maybe it wasn't Jalen Hurts. Maybe it was somebody else. But it was like
week
not
17.
But it was like Carson Wentz. He doesn't believe he's not playing Carson Wentz or whatever. And the upper management
was never Hurts.
Yeah, but it's like upper management, is mad because he's not playing Carson Wentz. He's throwing these games. It's like, no, he just didn't think Carson Wentz was all that good.
No, you're right.
And he was ready to move on. Yes, it may not have been Jalen Hurts.
No, but it was. But it was something about the Peterson and Wentz's relationship was, quote, fractured beyond repair, according to Chris Mortensen.
And by not playing Carson Wentz, it was like, yeah, you got to go. Well, you're not giving me control over who I think is the best for this team. Maybe I want to go. Well, good, you're fired. You can't fire me, I quit. Well, you can't quit because we already fired you. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay, well, who's the first to go and put the information out there? You've already called the AP. Damn it. They say I've been dismissed, but I actually quit.
For any head coaches at the college or pro level, always let them fire you. Never quit. Just from a monetary perspective. I know the optics are going to be tough for a little bit, but if they fire you and there's money left, you're doing great. It's okay. It's worth
and they
the one
got to
bad
answer the questions
PR.
too. If they do the firing, they answer the questions.
Great.
If you resigned, it's you're the one. having to face the music.
Josh brought up something. I didn't even give it much thought when Devin Booker didn't show the final game of the series, didn't show up to the post-game press conference.
Didn't do post-game press conference, and didn't have availability on the season-ending exit interview day.
These guys need to care about the media more.
But it's an interesting point that if he already knew Monty Williams being fired, I don't have to sit up there and say how much, my relationship with Monty Williams, no, I want him back this year. No, I don't think he should be fired. I think we just keep the thing together. It's like he's already been fired. Yeah, I'm not going to sit up there and lie about all this stuff, Like James Harden couldn't lie last night.
No, he tried.
When he was asked
Booker didn't
about
try
his relationship with Doc Rivers, because he's already on record as saying, "Oh, we got a good relationship." Blah, blah, coming here to Philly. The last question in his press conference last night was, "What's your relationship like with Doc Rivers? You head into the offseason," and he 3 or 4 second pause. It's fine. That's it. that was. He didn't lie. He told you without telling you. All right. He and Doc don't get along for some reason. It ain't like Doc's going to return anyway. I mean,
Doc's lost 10 Game 7s in his career.
Yeah. He's played 16 Game 7s. 10 of those are losses. He's also, lost 6 series in which he led 3-2, which is this series being one of them. I mean, they should have won Game 6. I mean, that was there for the taking. They had the lead. They were playing well. Tatum couldn't buy a bucket in the fourth quarter, and they let that one get away. Like, at that point, like, a coach can do something here or there. Can you draw up a set, anything to kind of make a difference? Nope. He's lost 5 consecutive Game 7s.
Yesterday, knowing the game was at 2:30, my oldest son's back from college. It's Mother's Day. I have to work. So the rest of the family, minus my middle son, who's the biggest Celtics fan in the world, in that he'll just light the house on fire. They all scheduled a golf outing at 2:30, so they weren't there so the fourth quarter's starting, and my son texts the whole family, "Hey, you guys come home now. It's looking pretty good."
You can come home now. You're allowed to come back home. 17 and 33 in closeout games all time is Doc Rivers. 17 and 33 in closeout games.
It's a shockingly large number. Yeah. Like that, just the number of series that requires.
But he was viewed as a long time as like this guy's one of the best coaches in the NBA. I mean, the way he draws stuff up, the out of timeout, out of bounds, under the basket plays, Doc Rivers, this and that.
That's okay. So that's 1733, right?
Yeah.
In
closeout games.
So if he wins that game, they win the series.
So he's 0-2 in this last series for closeout games.
Gotcha.
Because they could have won Game 6, could have won Game 7.
Oh, I see. It's not a closeout. It's a closeout game for his team.
For his team,
well, it's even worse.
That's not technically 50 series there. That's less than that because there's multiple.
Because again, this was 2. This was 2 of them that to close out. So it's 17 times they won a series.
But now
that much I know.
and it's in 16 Game 7s. They've lost 10 of them.
Yes. It's a lot of Game 7s. He struggled with that. Monty Williams is out and Budenholzer is out. I mean, these guys, it's amazing. You win a championship, you're fired a couple of years later, play in the NBA Finals. Yep. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year, right?
Yep. It was.
I mean, they are heading in the wrong direction. Finals, Western Conference Finals, semis. I get it. Monty Williams got to go, and Ishbia should definitely now control basketball operations as the new owner.
And I do think, like I said earlier, that I think there's a little bit of a Mark Jackson fear going on, where everyone's wondering, do we have the coach who restabilized some things, but we need to find Steve Kerr, and that's where the Suns are at, and that's where the Bucks won with Budenholzer and still fired him. Even
Jackson
though no
was
one remembers
controversial
that final.
though at the time when they fired Mark Jackson. It was like, what are you doing? This team is good. This team is playing well. You're firing Mark Jackson. He's one of the reasons why they're playing together. You're bringing in Steve Kerr. He's never coached before. Oh, yeah? Well, what about 4 championships? What about that? It was a great move. It's a risky move. It's kind of like a college team that's like, we think we're better than this, whatever coach, but there's a chance we can be worse. So we've got to thread the needle of finding somebody that's going to be better than who we have right now without being worse. And the Warriors did that with Steve Kerr, but it doesn't mean that the Bucks are going to do that or the Suns are going to be able to do that. And by the way, Bucks, you find a better coach, you won a championship.
That is crazy. And I misspoke, by the way. Obviously, the Suns and Mavs was a Western Conference semifinal game. I say obviously because Luka Doncic has never made a final. Fraud.
But neither has Trae Young, so I guess that trade just sort of canceled each other out.
You know who has? DeAndre Ayton justified the pick.
He had a 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a way to.
The only reason.
way to put it.
The only reason it was just because of him. He had that 2-game lead.
The only 7-foot big man I've ever seen who looks allergic to rebounds. I can't do this.
A couple of NFL nuggets. Make you see Shane Ray is making a comeback?
No. For who?
He signed with the Bills.
Bishop Miege?
Yes.
Missouri Tiger?
Missouri.
Bishop Miege. You can keep powering through. That one wasn't worth a pause. I'd rather you not pause. Please don't look at me. I'm going to stand outside. You guys want anything?
Aren't you going overseas soon?
Yeah, I might start now. Do you want me to get you want a drink,
Well,
Nick?
appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll grab you.
Appreciate it. That's great. His career is
How long has he been
2019, I think was his last year. 2009. He won a Super Bowl with the Broncos.
It's going to be hard to do.
Yes. At some point, like I was just talking about him a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Shane Ray, and I'm like, man, I really thought he was good. I hated that he went to the Broncos because I thought he was going to be good. And you know, his career's over. And then all of a sudden he pops up in the news. I'm like, I didn't realize he was trying to make a comeback in the NFL.
His last regular season games were in 2018, actually. I'll go again.
Thought you were gone.
Came back to correct you.
Shut the door.
My bad.
Now that he's not here, I thought it was pretty creative, Bishop Miege.
I did too.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like him.
Same. It feels so good to be able to say that now.
Oh, just get it off my chest. Just like,
Hey,
Josh?
do you guys know that the
he's
show
here. He's
gets
here.
played through the speakers
He's
throughout
here.
the whole building?
Mick, he's here.
I can
He's
hear
here.
from the
Listen.
bathroom.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
Hey, Josh.
Hey, man,
guys.
welcome back in.
Can I come back? Are we going to break yet? Or?
No, we're going to take a break right now. Will you come back? Why don't we do Learn Funniest Best?
Oh, that sounds great.
What I learned is how much I really like you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yep.
Funniest was that joke.
Oh, thank you so
I
much.
actually think it was the best.
I
the
really-
best joke I've ever heard. You're the
guys,
best.
You're my best.
You're the best.
Mick Schaefer in the Zone is brought to you by Atomic Cowboy Sports Saloon, home of the two.
All right, time for a little Learn Funniest Best. It is presented by Pyramid Roofing. Call the crew over at Pyramid Roofing for a free estimate, 816-966-1101 or pyramidroofingkc.com. That is with roof, gutters, whatever you are looking for. It is time for a little Learn Funniest Best. We go around the room, things we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, and the best from the weekend. I could have my holdovers from last week. I mean, my last Learn Funniest Best from Monday. I wasn't here for it, but here's what I learned over the weekend. So yesterday, Andre Iguodala announced his retirement. Finally, is retiring, even though he's been on the bench with the Suns all year, but not playing. But he has officially announced his retirement. With AI retiring, there are officially no more Lute Olson coached Wildcats playing in the NBA. 38 straight years since 1985, a player coached by Lute Olson played in the NBA until Iguodala.
What was Lute's last year at Arizona?
I mean, I feel like the 90s, but AI.
On that 01, didn't they win in 01?
Yeah.
At least they were there in 01,
when did
something like
Iguodala even get into the league? But let's find out.
That's pretty amazing.
I was like, wow, I didn't realize that there was that run of still, because my first thought wasn't when's the last time he coached, because I would have looked it up if that was my first thought of when's the last time he coached.
You should have known that question was coming.
2008? Is that real?
There you go.
It says it right there. 2008. It's on Wikipedia. It's got to be true. 83 to 2008. That's crazy. There should be more Arizona players. Clearly, he sucked at the end. He should have retired earlier.
There should be some 15-year vets still in the league.
Iguodala. Yeah. So the Lute Olson run of Arizona Wildcat players that played for him in the NBA is officially over with Andre Iguodala. That's what I learned. Josh, what'd you learn?
I got two real little learns. Is one that Joel Payamps is a Brewer now.
I did learn that.
Learned that this weekend.
By the way, I totally learned that too.
I figured that was probably something we all learned about at the same time.
And it also reminded me of how we used to joke around at the Payamps. You pronounce it by saying pimps with a southern accent. Payamps. Them dudes over there, them Payamps, man. There were some Payamps over there that came over with them ladies. Payamps.
Joel's a Brewer. And also I learned that Breland Speaks continues to be back. The Week 1 USFL Defensive Player of the Week. How about also the Week 5 Defensive Player of the Week in the USFL? And never on the ground, always on the graphic.
Week 2, 3, and 4, he turned it down because he thought somebody else deserved it.
I think his teammate won it one of those weeks. Team player, Michigan Panthers. Michigan Panthers?
He actually held the quarterback up so somebody else could sack him.
He would have 10 more sacks, but he keeps just not tackling the quarterback.
He's never on the ground. How can you tackle
It's
somebody?
That's why that whole sling motion is really a Breland Speaks sort of staple, because you got to throw him over your knee.
On the ground.
Trip him, maybe.
That's right. Mick, what'd you learn?
I just learned how much brunch can cost.
Oh, I saw your tweet.
I'm not a brunch guy. I'm definitely probably not going to continue to be one. We had no plans yesterday, and at the last minute we calling around and found a place for brunch. Yeah, walk on in. Okay, cool. And we
found a place to walk in brunch on Mother's Day?
We waited for 30 seconds, and they're like, and it was a great establishment. Really good food.
Burger King?
They were very proud of their food. It's much nicer than Burger King. And then we sat down really quick. They're like, you got here at the perfect time. I'm like, I know. We're great. It's going to be a great day. And then I'm like, so we're just, is there a menu? No, it's all brunch, which apparently that's the thing. It's just all brunch. There's no menu. I'm like, okay.
Brunch.
And there's no prices. We're looking up online. Like, well, how much? What are we in for here?
Yeah.
Yelp
but we're all sitting down, all five of us, so we're committed at that. Five.
That's what. Yeah.
5. And
so it's just a brunch buffet.
And I was like, just eat it all. Eat as much, and you eat quick before your stomach tells your brain that you're full, which is such a weird deal. Why that takes so long? And then I was like, put it in your pockets. I don't care if you're full. I'm yelling at my daughter, get a 5th plate. And $42 a head. Per person. And apparently that's a regular thing for brunch.
Hey, you know where that's not going to happen to you? At Atomic Cowboy.
Oh my
Denver Biscuit Company. They have a menu.
Should have gone there.
You can order your choice. It's the most delicious thing I've ever had.
$42 for brunch.
It's not going to be $42 a person.
Did it come with a movie was it a brunch and a movie? Did you get a matinee?
Just lots of eggs Benedict.
Man, I've had 2 straight really good jokes that I've just not been able to make, unfortunately. But I'm really sorry that happened to you, Mick.
That's I mean,
and
you've had a while to process.
I mean, don't take the
I have
time
not.
to like do the math. It's probably impossible. 5 times 42, but it's
It seems
it's up there.
like a lot of money.
And I just like they were like, "Can we go?" I'm like, "No, well, we're gonna sit here. We're just gonna take up their time for
That's
as
right.
long as possible."
And in fact, we're
just
going to eat dinner
suck
here.
up their air, and like I got
We're ready.
room, I think, for another waffle.
Yep.
There's a pig in a blanket I've been eyeing over there.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm doing the Waffle House challenge right here.
Right here.
Right here. That's what I'm doing. You guys can go ahead and leave. I ain't going anywhere till I get a couple 3 meals out of this. $42. Did you get a to-go bag?
They don't do that for brunch apparently
They
as
really
well. They
for
really
42
should.
bucks,
Yeah,
they really
I
should.
would
If it's on your plate when you leave, you can take it with you. You can't go back up.
Yeah.
But once you ask for the box, if it's on your plate, then you can take it. That should be the rule for $42.
I would
brunch.
just dumped all the eggs just in my wife's
Actually
purse.
just wheel the entire brunch over to our table.
Yes.
And then I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right there. Yes, that entire bucket of sausage. What did you learn, Drake?
I learned about an event that took place a month ago. So many things from this one event. You've seen protesters that show up at big-time sporting events sometimes to, bring awareness to their cause. There were some protesters, 2 of them protesting the oil usage in the world that showed up. They failed. They showed up at the World Snooker Championship. So I didn't know there was a World Snooker Championship.
gotta be.
And I didn't know that some protesters had showed up and jumped onto the snooker tables and thrown some powder into the air and disrupted the whole snooker thing. So I didn't know any of this until I read about it this weekend, and that was the amazing thing was the crowd. That because the TV people, they cut away from the protesters to show the crowd so that protesters weren't getting any extra camera time. The crowd looked so bored. They were just like totally stone-faced, and I'm like, well, what'd they look like when the snooker was happening?
Yeah.
'Cause, I can't imagine that was much more thrilling.
That had to be the most exciting part of their day.
I would imagine.
That had to be the most exciting thing to ever happen on a snooker table.
So what's the
I just
difference?
thought- I just thought snooker
and
was just
pool
pool.
and
Yeah.
billiards, right? Are they 3
No,
separate things that are similar?
I don't really know much about it either. It was these were giant tables, and there were a lot of similar, same like solid red balls.
Yeah.
And then at one point, somebody made a shot, and an official-looking lady came out and just placed another ball on the table, kind of randomly. And I'm not exactly sure. It was like watching cricket. I have no idea what was happening.
So snooker's played with 15 pink numberless balls, 6 numbered object balls, and a cue ball. Pool is played on a table of 6 pockets, 9 to 15 object balls in addition to a cue ball.
And it looked like a really big table because this guy was trying to make a shot, and he was basically
billiards?
lying on the table.
Aren't billiards and pool, those are synonymous,
Yeah,
right?
that's just synonymous, yeah. So a player wins.
No. Billiards is played on a table without pockets.
What? No.
What?
The game only has 3 balls, which are red, white, with a spot, another one without a spot. Pool involves table with 6 pockets, obviously.
I am floored by that.
Can I redo my learn?
Yes.
I've always said billiards and pool were the same thing.
I thought for sure they were.
Snooker, a player wins a frame by scoring more points than their opponent. There you go. That's how you win. Scoring more points than their opponent. I figured it all out.
What a concept.
Yes.
Get with it, golf. Then I think table tennis and ping pong are the same. I don't think there's a difference there, but maybe.
No, table tennis is played with no pockets. It's played with a higher net. It's like a volleyball net there. So when a red ball enters a pocket, the striker must then pot a colored ball
Are we
of their
snookering
choice.
right now?
If successful, the value of the potted color is added to the player's score, and the ball is returned to a designated spot on the table. If a designated spot is unavailable, the color is respotted on the spot of the highest available color. If no spots are available, the color is respotted as close as possible to its own spot without touching the obstructing ball towards the top cushion.
Makes total sense now. Thank you.
Yes. Right. I don't understand how you guys didn't know how to play this thing. So that's why the lady came in and did that. She was spotting it near the next spotted colored ball in the cushion, which was actually
Ball's
available.
probably made of some sort of oil.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, whale oil. That's how they keep the lights on in the street going in 1850. What was your funniest from the weekend, Josh?
My funniest is via Rock Chalk Unplugged with Mitch Lightfoot and Chris Tian. They had Christian Brown on, and he told a story about a very, very expensive couple of minutes.
So I come back for, go to work Monday, and how they tell you have a fine is they just put a piece of paper on your chair so you see it, like, before you sit down. So I come in, I'm about to get dressed, and I look down, and there's a piece of paper on my chair, and it was a $15,000 fine. And I'm like, $15,000? Like, I haven't even got a paycheck. Like, what do you mean $15,000? So you know me, I call like our person, her name's Morgan. I'm like, Morgan, 15,000? Like that's not gonna work. Like, we're not gonna do this. And obviously with some more colorful language, like, no chance, basically. Like, no, you're not getting my money. And she's like, what do you mean we're not getting your money? It comes straight out. Like, you don't even see that money. And so now I'm like, no, there's no way. You're not taking $15,000 from me, and I haven't even got a single check yet. But turns out she was very nice, and this is why. So I parked in the 3 spots I parked in are Mr. Kroenke, which is our owner. Okay. I park in he has 3 spots. Not only did I park in his spot, I parked in all 3 of them sideways. So it's $5,000 for each of those executive spots, and then or whatever owner spots. So I get $15,000 on my chair, and I'm like, Morgan, I'm not paying $15,000. So she was nice, and I was like, look, there's nobody, not a single person at the arena. My car's still on. I was there for 2.5 minutes, and they just caught me on the camera, and they looked up whose car it was, and it was mine. So, like, they came in, put the fine sheet. She ended up getting it down to $2,500, which obviously the difference between that and $15,000 when you have never been paid yet is great, but you don't even see the money. Like, it just comes straight out of your account.
If I would have gotten a ticket for $15,000, I would have thrown up.
Bro, it was like, I walked in, but I wasn't even like, because I was like, no chance. Like, I was only there for 2 minutes. I'm like, there's no way. This has to be some type of joke. And then she was like, no, we're dead serious. And I was like, bro, you have to get that down. Like, I will literally, my car's still on, doors open. She's like, all right, we'll turn it down to $2,500. And at that point, I was like, you know what? That's good enough for me.
So wait a second.
So that was in real time? Like
they ran it within 2.5 minutes. They ran and put the paper on his.
No. I think when he got back the next time he got back to the facilities, it was there. They caught him on camera. They looked up the car really later. Quick, yeah. He went in to like get his shoes or something.
But why was he saying my car's still on right now? I can go and move it. Like, did he park again? And they're like, all right, make it $15,000 now because he parked in there again.
I think that he's saying there that was just in the moment of the time. I'm not sure. That was all the detail that I had. But if you're gonna be a rookie who missed parks early on, try to avoid the executive spots, and please don't pull in sideways and take up all 3.
But also, if there's nobody at the arena, even when there's nobody there at all, and you're running in real quick, you can't park in that spot that's Kroenke's.
Mike Singer
I'd park that plank.
Mike Singer of the Denver Post tweeted, read the Christian Brown. Every time I see it spelled out, I want to say Braun. He was in Kansas for a million.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out eventually one of these days. I'm told this wasn't a Kroenke implemented rule. When GM Calvin Booth took over, he insisted on accountability and guys parking in their respective spots. There were even instances of Nuggets affiliated guys parking in Avs exec spots. I think Sam Kroenke probably doesn't need them.
So do you get an assigned parking spot then? Like, hey, Christian,
presumably
you're drafted. Here's your spot. If you don't park in this spot, it will be a 5. Like, was he notified at some point? Was it in the contract? Did his agent not tell him?
Was it $5,000 for each spot because he parked in all 3?
Yes, that to me is the funniest part. It's the reveal that it's all 3 of Stan Kroenke's spots
simultaneously.
3
straight days he picked a different spot to park in. Well,
no, I thought it was just one time.
No. He parked sideways.
Across the lanes.
He swung in sideways. Yes. He was in all 3 because he was running in to get. That's why I'm saying the car's running his
more
doors open. All
I'm
of
on
that.
the Nuggets side here. Like, what are you doing?
I thought he was saying 3 straight days simultaneously that he parked one day in one spot, and that's why it was $5,000 a pop to go to $15,000.
I think he's saying he physically occupied all 3 spots by whipping in sideways, running in, back out again. I don't think the car ever stopped running by his story there.
Well, at least he got it down to $2,500.
He got it down to $2,500.
Turns out it was only $800 per.
Who couldn't take that right now?
$833 per spot that he parked in. Interesting. What was your funniest, Mick?
My funniest was in the. It's funny only because you had to cry if you didn't laugh. 3rd inning yesterday, the Brewers and Royals, and that it was a Ken Harvey, Jason Grimsley-esque type of play in the 2 errors on one play that basically led to the loss. I mean, they're up 4-2 at the time. that play, I think there was 1 out, maybe 0. I don't know. Michael
It might have been 0
Garcia
outs,
just
yeah.
doesn't catch a great throw from Salvi, whether he would have got him tagged
Yeah.
or not, whatever, didn't matter. He had the wherewithal to keep the tag on him like he had the ball, but Yelich was too smart for that, and so that scored a run. Yelich takes off for third. He was probably going to be toast at third, but then
Eaton throws it into the ground for some reason.
Well,
and it takes like 4 bounces.
well, it hit Yelich.
Yeah.
It hit the third base coach.
But also, if he throws it to the guy instead of throwing it and it bounces in the dirt from center field, like, a better throw there, Nate. You got a strong arm, but
Yeah.
you're not pitching off the mound.
Yeah,
But anyway,
held on to it a little bit too long.
Yep.
Then it hits the third base coach, and
Yes.
then Dozier tries this little slap. It actually perfectly hits the catcher's mask and
amazing.
pops right back up to Salvi. But of course, Yelich is sliding there. I'm trying to get the number of people and pieces of equipment that ball touched on that play. It was a lot.
if they would have got that out at home, it would have been a 2-6.
Are you counting? Did he touch the ball?
Yeah, it hit off his glove.
Okay.
So 2, 6, 8, 5, 2
put out.
with E6, E8. No, E6 at least.
You wouldn't have had the other error because he would have been out at home. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it should have been an error on him, unless they were deking him. That's a great move. But I actually thought it was one of the best things Dozier's ever done in a Royals uniform.
It was an error on Garcia and an error
Oh,
on
it was.
Eaton,
There was.
but if they get
E6
him
and
at
E8.
home, I don't think they give him that error there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought Dozier is the best thing. He dives and slaps it.
I mean, that's his only chance there.
Right, but it was
Yeah.
great. It was great thinking. It was awesome. But yes, that was very. You're stealing second. Take home. What was your funniest, Drake?
Mine's even funnier after hearing Mick talk about his brunch. Yeah, yesterday morning, both my sons were home from college. I thought, well, let's all go out to breakfast to celebrate Mother's Day. So we got out there. It was only $50 for the 4 of us, and that's when I realized I had forgotten my wallet and my wife had to pay.
It's actually just like your first date. Oh, I don't have my wallet.
We have
there.
joint accounts, so when my wife pays, I pay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, yes, but still,
It's still funny.
the
Yeah.
principle.
Pull it out. Yeah.
Yes. My funniest actually happened with, kids don't really know how to present the emergency of a situation maybe sometimes. So I'm outside doing yard work on Saturday. My wife is running an errand, so Everett and Juliet are inside. I'm sitting out there, and Everett comes out, just calm. I thought maybe he wants to play catch or something. And he's like, "Hey, Daddy." I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "Juliet got hurt." I said, "Oh, did she?" I said, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, there's probably going to be a scar or something."
Oh no!
I know, but I'm like, what are you talking about? There's going to be a scar. I was like, is she crying? Yeah. Is it bleeding? Yeah, a lot. Lead with that.
I'll open with that, man. The inverted pyramid.
Did he do it?
No, she just stepped down and she stepped on one of their toys. Yeah, about time you guys feel the pain.
That you put there. You left before you went
But
outside.
he's like, "Hey, Juliet got hurt." Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys get hurt all the time. What's the deal? Well, it's probably going to be a scar. I guess that was my first indication. But is she crying? Yes. Is she bleeding? Yeah, a lot. That's the first thing. Dad, Juliet's bleeding. Boom. I don't care about the rest of it.
Yeah.
I can go inside and start working on this, the scar that's going to eventually be there.
If it bleeds, it leads, man.
Yes. Just like told
Did you
him.
watch the news?
Come on, dude.
We watch 41 all the time, okay? We always have to turn it off the first 10 minutes, right? Then we get to weather. And then maybe we get to Mick, depending on the weather. All right, the best for you, Mick.
So, I mean, is she okay? Would she?
She
I
lost
feel like
her
you didn't
foot.
finish-
Yeah,
Right,
but I mean, she's...
Just like father, like son. He's
yeah,
like
she's going to
burying
be...
the lead here.
she's gonna be well, the lead was that. The finish is that she's going to be one hell of a kicker with half a foot.
Yeah.
What was the best from the weekend,
Was
Mick?
it George Blanda?
It was Dempsey, right?
Dempsey, yeah, Dempsey. My best is what I'm wearing right now. I have a Quick Trip vest.
So good, dude.
My brother, about a month late, but whatever, sent me from Denver my birthday present. I opened it up, and it's a Quick Trip vest. And it's awesome. It's great material. It says Quick Trip on it, but it's not the usual logo. It's like understated, kind of basic, like maybe Times Roman.
Very
script.
subtle.
No, I
Black
guess
and
it's
white.
there. It's there.
So it's black and white,
there.
though. It's just
It's Courier New.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Two-tone.
It's whatever their font is. Actually, that's not a font. It's a typeface. Okay. Anyway, it's awesome. And then I learned they've got Quick Trip merchandise online. You can go buy.
amazing.
Yeah. You get half off food, maybe. I'm not sure. What was the best for you, Drake?
The nice part of the weekend was that with Mother's Day and all these graduations and proms and stuff, social media, Facebook especially, was like all positive stuff. and it was really kind of nice. And, part of that, not only Mother's Day, today is my father's birthday, so happy birthday, Dad, and happy birthday, George Brett.
No, how about that?
Oh,
Your
nice.
father was born. Who was a better third baseman, your father or George Brett?
I didn't say they were different people.
That's what I was thinking here. That's a good call, Drake.
Great call,
He was
Drake.
ready for that one.
They are, but I didn't say that.
My best is actually a holdover from last week's best, but I didn't do the show. My best is Grant Wall being inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. It was awesome, well done, and a cool homage to his life, and he would have been there anyway.
Exactly. It was more than just an homage. He was going to be there anyway.
He was going to be there, and they just went ahead and said, you know what, a celebration of his life with his family there. What was your best, Josh?
Almost done wedding planning.
Almost done.
Almost over.
Yep. And it's at least it's right around the corner, so
Yes.
at least you don't need a plan for this week.
Well, you'd be surprised.
We'll take a time out. We'll come back, wrap up the show next.
Mick Schaefer's brought to you by Atomic Cowboy Sports Salute.
Mick Schaefer hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, guy.
Yeah.
Tonight starts 20 straight games against teams that are under 500 for the Royals.
Well, they can't beat good teams.
Yeah.
And they can sometimes beat the bad ones.
Yep. Somehow the Padres are under 500. Riddle me that.
They won't be after this series.
I think they're like 17 and 20, so they may. Well, I guess they played.
Yeah, when does that?
Games.
How are we going to do the stats on that? Is it going to just count while the Padres are still below 500? Will they? Can they cease to be a below 500 team in retrospect?
San Diego was 19 and 22. I knew there were 3 games under 500 because they could
be
be 500
even at the end. Okay, so we're good on these 3.
Like that's 20 straight games against teams that are currently under 500 because Miami is 20 and 21. So by Wednesday, that stat may be moot because they might be 22 and 21, the Marlins. But right now, as it currently stands, 20 consecutive games against teams that are under 500.
Do you think I will? They start at 8:40, right?
8:40, yes, tonight.
Do you think there will be? Now I usually record morning sports at 10:30.
Good for you. Yep.
10:35. If something's getting over quick, within the next 10-15 minutes, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think I'll record full Royals highlights with the quicker games now, the pitch clock? Basically, it would take a 2 hour and 15-minute game or less.
I think you can.
You think it will?
I think you will.
Because there won't be the bottom of the ninth played if, the Padres are winning. I bet one of those. Is it 3?
I think
Are
you
they
will.
on Wednesday night or the afternoon, I wonder?
They are playing.
I just closed that tab.
A Wednesday.
Wednesdays at
afternoon
3:10.
game. Yeah.
So Monday or Tuesday, one of those games, I wonder.
Well, tomorrow's directly up against Lakers and Nuggets, so I'm not sure who's going to get the bigger draw. Padres, Royals nationally, or Lakers, Nuggets.
Two huge California sports teams.
Yep, that's right. What's the bigger draw? San Diego or L.A.? Padres or Lakers?
Man.
And
We'll
really,
see.
Celtics or Royals.
Plus, you get the greatest of all time. You get LeBron, and you
Sasquatch.
get Vinny, and Bobby Witt, maybe Jordan Lyles. That'd be great.
This is Mike Reed, sales manager at Mercedes.